What is going on, everyone? Nice to see everybody's here. Oh, didn't realize I had my speakers up on this one. Let's see. Okay, audio sounds good. Yeah, I was afraid that a lot of people wouldn't have said, "Oh man, I forgot about the change," which I'm sure some will. But you know, it seems to work for everybody, including myself. And the idea is to have it work for everyone if we can, right? So, welcome aboard, everybody. Good to see everybody in there. Renee, boom, first one. Lancaster, also first. You guys are like right behind each other. Doing good. Photography, light, and magic. Good to see you in there. Abs 0303. Good day to you too. Good to have you in there. Trell, sup, Chris? What's going on? Photography, light, and magic. Everybody's up in here today. Awesome. Abs, yeah, 003. I'm sorry, 0303. The new time works for me Sunday morning. Well, see, that's the thing. That was the whole idea, right? Because a lot of you guys are saying, man, I got to go to bed. I got to work the next day. So it works for you guys. And like I said, I work 6 days a week. In fact, last couple of days, I've been working my hind end off because, we had one guy who's a good worker. He hasn't been in. And I just literally got out of work at got home at like 3:40. So p.m. Eastern time. So yeah, it was a bit. It was a busy day. I usually get out of there like 11, 12 o'clock. Got out of there at 3:40. So yeah, definitely worked today. Lancaster, you said I missed way too many hangouts. Well, hopefully this time frame works for you and don't won't happen anymore, right? Richard Mortimer, you said morning. Nice. Doing this on Sunday. Yeah, it's a change, isn't it? It helps. Like I said, I figured it'd help you guys as well. I noticed a lot of you guys want to hang, but you can't, and I don't blame you. And I'd be like, man, I gotta go to bed, So I don't blame you. Patron says he has went to the dark side. Ooh. Lucky Mo, 5 p.m. Too early. Let's see. American Rebel, what's going on? Good to have you in there, man. Ufologist Chris is in the Mars anomalies and beyond fam house. Woohoo! Alrighty. Philip, what's going on? Wellington, good to see you in there. Mark Lewis, you said, hi, Chris. Nice to be back from Wales, UK. Sweet. Richard, good to see you in there as well. Rome 11, greetings. How are you? Joss D, what's going on? Digger's in there. Hello. Material, what's going on? It's after 10 at night here in Glasgow, Scotland. Photography Light and Magic says. Yeah, well, see, that's the thing, And a lot of times, if you guys hang out for a couple hours, then you're like, oh my God, it's like 12 midnight. Some of you guys are like, somewhere around 7 o'clock at my time. You guys are like, man, it's 1 a.m., it's 2 a.m. Yeah, it doesn't work out too well for people that are over the big pond and around the world, you know what I'm saying? So it doesn't really help too many people that way. Josh D, you said I'm a bit late. No, you're perfect time, man. You're good. You're good. Find it, restore it. Hello, Chris. What's going on? What are we storing? What are we restoring? Cars? Furniture? It's all good. Irish Whiskey Paranormal. Hello, everyone, he says. Moon Man says, hello from Turkey. What's going on there, Moon Man? Andrew Munchkin says, hey, Chris, have you found any new discoveries on Mars? I don't know if you see my last video, but I would say that's a big yes. Random guy, greetings from Calgary. Well, greetings right back to you. Yeah, chamois, doodah, yeah, that's exactly what it is. Just basically tension bands, you work out with and stuff like that. And I appreciate the kind words when you said, "Love your videos, keep them coming in." Uh, you said, "By the way, what's the white object behind you against the wall?" Me and the wife thinks it's either a stretchy thing for making you muscle. It's basically what it is. It's just power bands. It's all they are. Janine, good to see you in there. You said, "Deep into the darkness, peering, long I stood there, wondering, fearing, doubting, dreaming dreams no mortal ever dared to dream before." Edgar Allan Poe. Nice quote. Good to see you in there, Janine. Martin Steed, you said, "Chris, what is the most astounding image you've worked on so far?" You talking Mars or Moon, or because there's several, to be truthful. It's hard to just say, just peg out just one. Like I said, I've always bring up the one that's from Opportunity, which looks like these weird vehicles that are being pushed down the slope. And they're pretty clear. I mean, one of them looks like a Jeep, for crying out loud, and one of them has these almost something similar to what we have, and which is mind blowing because you don't expect to see that kind of thing in the photo, right? But that's what they appear to be. There's so many things, man. It's just things that are set inside what looks like buttes and hillsides that are protruding out of it. It looks like framework, could be anything. Um, yeah, I mean, it's just so many things. I'm just you just never know what you're gonna find, right? Renee, you said, "I personally like Sunday better at 2 p.m., but where's extraterrestrial aliens and UFOs follow?" Hmm. I don't know. Yeah, I see what you mean. But where is this extraterrestrial aliens and UFOs all follow? Yeah, it just seems like it seems to work for a lot of people. That's why I decided to go with that route, and a lot of you guys were on board with it. So I figured we'd make the jump and see how it worked out, right? It's 11 o'clock here, or 2300 hours here, Holland. Well, at least it's not two, right? Well, either way, still the same time we started on Sunday, but the idea is it's like it's a lot better. You don't have to work the next day. I guess that works out, right? Andrew Munchkin, you said, "Any new thoughts on the Mars city?" Um, no, I mean, other than just really checking this thing out with my magnifier. And the sad thing about it is I hate the idea that we can't actually, vet any of this, right? We can't actually go in there closer to the photo and really, really have a good look, like a 3D look. All we can do is look down at this particular area. So there's no way to vet whether these things are, in fact, structures or anything. It just has that appearance of that way, right? A little piece of hair or something. I just noticed that. Not that that matters. It's not going to hurt the mic any. But yeah, I mean, that's the only thing I can say. Now, I had a couple of naysayers on it. I love it because they're like, "Oh, that's bull crap," and this, that, and the other. The funny thing about it is, had I said, and even you guys questioned it a couple of times, but these are outside people; these are not subscribers saying this. But what's really funny, if I was to say that these are from, like, Central America, ancient ruins that were just recently found, everybody'd been on board with it. But you get these people, "Oh, it's such crap. That's not a city, blah, 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 blah." But like I said, if I had said it's Amazon jungle, it was, wherever, Central America, wherever, it doesn't matter, with a bunch of forests, people are like, boom, wouldn't have thought twice. But, you always get them naysayers, and I don't care. I mean, I think it's just comical how they, it's almost like they just, they get mad. And it's like, what, really? So I don't bother them. I just take the negative comments off. Because you can tell they haven't done a shred of proof. And the funny thing about it is they'll say things like, "Oh, how do you know this is even, this is not Earth, and how do you know it's even Mars?" Well, because there's a direct link right to the high rise site. And when one of you guys questioned it, which is a legit, question, was said, "Well, how do you know this third party didn't actually, shiesty you in some way and, try to make you look bad?" No, no, because again, it was taken right from the site. So that's where he got his information from, and does his work from there. And he's very good at what he does. He doesn't BS when it comes to that stuff. And it was right off the site, So if it's fake from the site, meaning they're making it up, then that's a whole different ballgame. And I've always said that. People go, "Well, how do you know they're not just throwing you a bunch of crap, just to give you, and they're just fooling the public. Well, then they still have to answer to the public because what's the point of doing it, right? So either the stuff is real and we're finding these things and they need to answer why, or B, that they are completely fake and they're fooling the public. They still have to answer it. Why are they doing that? So no matter how you look at it, right? I think they should definitely owe the public some kind of explanation, right? Stig, you asked when did you first started looking for anomalies? Well, it goes back several years. I think I started in 2012, 2013. But long before that, I started looking at, I started getting interested just before, I think it was 2000, late 90s and stuff like that. I started looking at these photos and stuff like that. And I've always been fascinated with space and anything to do with space anyway, NASA and stuff like that. I know it's shocking because people are like, you must be so against NASA. How the hell can you possibly believe in it? No, I'm not. Actually, I love everything about NASA. The only thing I don't like is the deception that they give the public. I love the idea of space exploration, new technologies that gets, and eventually gets watered down to us, or at least handed down to us. So it helps everybody. And so everything, wanting to get out into space, be spacefaring, the whole nine, man. I love them for that. Any space agency for that matter. I just don't like the deception. You just have to read between the lines to find the truth. And I think we're only touching just a maybe tip of the iceberg as far as the truth, right? So yeah. Let me see here. Let me look this up for you. Let's see. Just to help answer your question. This probably really doesn't give you a whole lot, but just so you can check it. I like to get the links to you guys if I can. Basically, 2 spacecraft have visited the planet Mercury so far. It was Trell that asked this. Have we ever landed a craft on a planet Mercury? And I'm going to go ahead and give you the link too. This is from, JPL, Caltech, so on and so forth. 2 spacecraft have visited the planet Mercury so far. The first one was called Mariner 10 during 1974 and 75. Mariner 10 flew by Mercury 3 times and mapped out half of the planet's surface. Mariner 10 has also discovered Mercury's thin atmosphere and detected its magnetic field. More recently, Messenger went into orbit around Mercury in 2011 and completed mapping of 100% of Mercury's surface in 2013. I like the name of this. Bepi Colombo is planned for launch in 2015 and planned to orbit around Mercury in 2022. So obviously it's already been launched. It's on its way, and of course it'll be orbiting there around in 2022. But just so you know, that's legit. And I just pull that out of my rear end. Here's the link to that. We never do that stuff. We give you the links. Want everybody to know it's the legit, right from actual, top people, space people. Stephen Early, appreciate your support. He said, I'm glad you showed us what's really on Mars. Well, I mean, between the satellite, like I said, my good friend Neville Thompson had done that. He gets all the credit for finding that what looked like as a city. And believe it or not, some of you guys asked me, let me backtrack just a little bit. Some people said, can you tell us the scale? Believe it or not, that was only 12/10 of a mile across. Now, that may sound very small, and you go, well, there's no possible way that thing could be that small, unless these inhabitants are, in fact, smaller. Think about that a minute. Very good possibility, right? I don't know. But, between the actual curiosity, meaning on the ground photos, and what we're seeing in these satellite, I strongly believe, again, there's no way to vet it, but it looked like a city to me, as well as Neville and a lot of other people. You guys have seen it yourselves. I mean, you guys can call it whatever you want for all I care. In other words, you just say, well, I don't believe it's that at all. You guys get your free mind here. I don't have a problem with that. I do have, like I said, some people are just being sarcastic that just come, I call them transients, they really don't have a clue. They haven't been following the channel, so I don't expect anything else out of them other than wisecracks and stuff like that. So, and we'll keep it PG, by the way. Cosmo, thank you for your support as well. You said evening, morning, afternoon, Chris and Chad. Hard time finding a parking spot out there. Yeah, that happens. Nick, good to see you in there. You said great show and info, Chris. Thanks. Well, thank you. Appreciate the kind words. Man, this thing, I hate it when this thing jumps up like that. James, you said, hi, Chris. It's the Kragan man. Just checking in with you, man. And by the way, the last video is just frightening. You know what I mean? Yeah. I mean, like I said, guys, I was actually going to knock one out for you, too. I already got a video made. I have it in the editor. It was supposed to actually go up before this Hangout. But like I said, I didn't get out of work like 4 hours later than I usually do. So that kind of killed that. So what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to get this thing out tomorrow on Sunday. If not, it'll definitely be out Monday morning. Well, at least I'm going to try to have it out for that afternoon, early afternoon. Because I got a bunch of things. I only got the one day off. So I got a bunch of things I got to do on my day off. Imagine that. So, but we're going to try. We'll try to get it out. And I was like, so wanting to get this thing out. And I was like, oh, you're kidding me. And like I said, I just put this computer back together, just upgraded it to Windows 10 Pro. And we had to work the bugs out of that because a lot of, when you put new software in there, obviously you got to put all your programs back into it, get everything running, all your passwords, all that good stuff. Of course, if you got it on the cloud, so much easier. So yeah, it was fun, but it needed to be upgraded anyway. It worked fine. Don't get me wrong, but I just wanted Windows 10 in there. Jerry MC said, hello from Scotland, Chris. Well, hello. Waving a big hand back over the big pond to you guys. Yes, you did, random guy. You said on one of your recent videos describing a possible city on Mars, I had pointed out what looked like a dam on a river. Thanks for your reply. Yeah, I mean, see, I love the idea that, like I said this before. You guys get in there, take your magnifiers, pull the stuff apart. You see things I don't see. Now I try to show you the biggest details in there, so you can kind of get an idea. Okay, is it natural or is it unnatural? If it is unnatural, what is it? And the other biggest question is, why is it on Mars? So, yeah. Stephen Barber, said Saturday is great for us in Europe. Well, that was the whole plan, man. I'm glad it's working out. Josh D said, love the Mars City vid. Yeah, it is actually pretty awesome. Like I said, I just happened to be going on Facebook and I just happened to look and I just saw that. I was like, oh my God. A lot of people started to comment on his finding and his photo. And I said, man, that's probably one of the best ones I've seen that looks like a city. And I always use the term looks like, because again, there's no way to vet this. There's no way to, if we could get in there like a lower area and actually see like a 3D, like things actually standing up, I can go, obviously it would be better, right? We'd be able to see this a lot better. And it would make me feel better to be able to see this. And because we can't, that's the reason why I don't deal with too many satellite photos, right? Because I like the idea of seeing things sticking up. I like to see like things actually off the ground. And so it gives you an idea, especially if the curiosity or the opportunities in the photo, you get a good idea somewhat of how big this thing may be. Of course, it's going to be only a guesstimate. There's no way to really get, unless you can get some scaling on there, it's kind of hard to tell, right? Rome 11, you said, am I the only one who has seen significant emotional events when seeing moon photos, especially looking into the shadows? No, there's a lot of crazy things in there, and you wouldn't be the first one. And guys, and guess what? That new video I got coming out, it's basically this, what looks like a craft and a crater. The question is it a crater? So when you guys see that video, you'll see what I mean. It's not going to be super long, but you'll see what I'm talking about. Again, they have this weird way of camouflaging things and making things look like it's natural, when clearly it's not. $420 Alien, he said, hi all, love the last video, Chris. Well, I appreciate that. Let me jump way back down here, because this thing jumped up on me, so I had to backtrack a little bit, so forgive me for that, guys. I agree with the photography light magic. You said if people sleep better at night thinking it's just rocks on Mars, good luck to them. They will remain forever ignorant. Well, that's the thing. I mean, I think it's just there's people that just don't have the drive, right? They just go, like I said, when I call them transients, because it may be a suggested video on their part, and and they're just, they're looking at, this is such crap because they haven't been following the channel. So you expect to see that. Now you're going to see me actually jumping in these people's rear ends, can't get it out periodically, right? So don't be surprised if you see me jump on some of these people because some people are just absolutely arrogant and ignorant. They just don't have a clue. And you'll see me ask them, "Oh, is that your professional opinion?" Because I have people go, "Oh, that's just such crap," but you're just making this up. Really? That's an intelligent, response, right? Um, so I think it's funny, but 90% of them, I just see you later. I don't even bother. It's not even worth it. Michael Starr, good to see you. And he said, "Hey, Chris, hope you're doing good. I am, and I hope you are too, Michael. Happy Saturday, everyone." John Beck's in the house. What's going on? Donnie's in the house. Hello, all. Hello, Chris. Good to see you here, Donnie. No, I actually did. MG told you put in there. Why did you fail to mention all of the trees surrounding the structures? They were big, broad leaf trees. Well, no, I actually said that's what they look like. They look like trees and everything else in these certain areas. And what I said was, I don't know if you guys noticed, like on the lower part of where that looks like the roads, and it looks like it's like it's seated down lower than the roads or these tubes or whatever they may be. They look like they're down. Like I said, I used a uh, kind of like I use the idea of like a box, like they had the flower box you put outside your window, right? Picture something set down in there like that, surrounding or in between these roads, tubes, or whatever they may be. And I said that they actually look like trees. And are they? Again, no way to vet this, and that's what aggravates me. I wish I could. Yeah, this thing just went crazy on me again. Stephen, again, thank you for your support. He said, "What will really happen when Tesla gets to Mars?" Got some other people texting me here, which is awesome. That's a great question, man. I think what's going to happen is, as far as Elon wants to actually die there. He actually said this more than once that he wanted to die on Mars, right? I find it interesting because when he gets there, I think he's going to be just like NASA. Unfortunately, he's not going to say a whole lot of anything. Because basically he's on board with them now. He's actually helping them out. They're subcontracting him to bring supplies up to the ISS, so on and so forth. So I strongly believe you're not going to hear really a peep out of him. The only way I could see that happening is if somehow one of the countries that are like I said, I call them, United Space Agencies, where they're all working together up on a higher level, not in the local, not in the public level, right? So unless one of them became disgruntled, I just don't see it. I just don't see them ever saying anything. Um, so I'd love to say, yeah, he's going to tell all. I don't foresee it happening. Donnie, appreciate your support, man. You said the trees in the last video were most damning. Yeah, I mean, because you can see these things that it's almost like if you were looking over a town or a city here on Earth, where you look down and you can see like roadways in between these trees. You can see what look like structures all over the place. And that weird one that come out, it has that kind of rounded face to it and goes back out straight. So you got this straight, this way going around, and then it goes straight out again. It's just like, is that natural? I don't think so. Uh, let's see. That's what it appeared to be, Glenn Judd. You said last video, city and roads. That's what they appear to be. Now, whether they are or not, to me, they appear that way. That's pretty much it. Shammy Duda, you said, Duda. Hi, Chris. I follow you, Art Alien TV, Jimmy Roberts, Secure Team, Alien Hunter. You all do a great job to prove the truth. The total number of followers you have. Surely NASA must be paying attention. Well, paying attention, paying interest, right? And I believe that you're right. I think they do. I think they actually watch these. And now, whether they goof on the idea or not is immaterial. I don't really care. But they can get a consensus of what they feel that the people respond to this. Maybe they think, oh, no, they would just totally freak out. And we've discussed this many a times, right? And I don't think that's the case at all. I think a lot of people would be like, yes, they finally admitted to it. And you guys have seen this. I know you guys have, because a couple of you guys mentioned it to me about the, 30% spike in oxygen on Mars. Wait a minute. Now it gets interesting, right? So I decided to look up a couple trace gases that are like you need life to live, or to be, to exist. And what I find is you get there's like 6 of them that now there's extra gases, of course, but the 6, we got carbon dioxide, oxygen, which we just recently found, right? Nitrogen and argon. Now, just recently, not recently for methane, but methane's been spotted in there a few years back. And now oxygen, 30% spike. Why do they say, oh, we're just so tripped up by this? We just don't know what's causing this. I can tell you what's causing it. Plant life. If you think about it, you got organics, right? Whether it's small trees, larger trees, whatever, they give off oxygen. It's as simple as that. And then you got microorganisms feed off the organics, producing methane. So now, is that the 2 reasons or the 2 things that are causing these, both oxygen and methane? I think it is. Now, they say they can be more natural as well. I think they were saying even, volcanic can cause some of these and stuff like that, the methane or methane, as you guys call it in the UK. So I don't know. What do you guys think about that? I think, it's, again, the puzzle pieces are coming in. They're all getting put together. Water cycle in Gale Crater. Now we get oxygen, seen a spike in there. They've seen huge plumes of methane in Gale Crater. Okay, put all of this together, guys. And, they actually talk about this. Let me see if we can find this. It says, without the atmosphere, Earth would be lifeless. Carbon dioxide, or CO2, and oxygen, O2, are the most important gases for living organisms. We have both on Mars as well. We have a water cycle. We have sun. So if there is plant life, then we have photosynthesis. We have, come on, just put the pieces together. And when you do that, you start going, man, there's a good chance there's actually life on this planet. And, now they want to go up there and they want to search more for maybe some fossilized, microorganisms. Even if it's macro, it doesn't really matter. I think we all know the answer to this, And, they said, with Mars methane mystery unsolved, get that, which I find hilarious. Curiosity serves scientists a new one, oxygen. For the first time in history, our space exploration scientists have measured the seasonal changes. Get that. That's the key word, or keywords. Seasonal changes. Okay. What if, now I don't know if anybody's done it. I'm sure they have. Like here in my state, there's a lot of forest, right? A lot of trees. I'm sure they've measured in the colder months. Let's say now, like, winter's coming around. In fact, I don't think we're getting a fall. I think it's going to winter. Now, all the leaves fall off the trees. Okay. Trees, basically, some of them die and some of them just stay basically dormant, so to speak. And now all of a sudden they bloom in the summer months, spring and summer. There has to be this huge increase in oxygen. I think you guys would agree with that. Why is it different on Mars? Why? I mean, it's not baffling here. It's almost like they're taking the steps, they're kind of hinting around it, but they just don't want to say it, right? As a result, they notice something baffling. Oxygen, the gas many Earth creatures use to breathe, behaves in a way that so far scientists cannot explain through any known chemical processes. Processes, depending on how you want to pronounce it. Over the course of 3 Mars years, or nearly 6 Earth years, an instrument in the sampling analysis at Mars, or the SAM unit, a portable chemistry lab inside the belly of the NASA's Curiosity rover, inhaled, I love the way it says that, inhaled the air of Gale Crater and analyzed its composition. The results Sam spit out confirmed the makeup of the Martian atmosphere at the surface. Now, this is what I find interesting because, like I said, it shows like this graph and it shows spring and summer and it spikes. Well, doesn't that go into the no shit category here, people? I mean, to me, it's like, again, if I could do that, I could test it myself. I can almost promise you the oxygen levels would spike here in my state because of because of the trees. They give off oxygen. What do they take in? There you go. So now you got like this, uh, and they're just stumped. They can't figure it out. I think they know exactly what's up. I don't think anybody here would disagree with that. Patron, you said with what we're seeing on the moon, rather, with what we are seeing on the moon, there may be structures and such on all of the planets and moons in our solar system. Well, I think, listen, if they went to the moon, or if they came to the moon, depending on how you want to look at it, could be both. Then I think if they're on the moon, then they've traveled everywhere in our solar system and then some. Like I said, at some point when they had that article I read to you guys, it said at the time when dinosaurs were alive, our solar system was on the other side of the galaxy. And like I said, if that was true, doesn't that like open up this realm of ideas that could have happened to our solar system many millions of years ago? Is it possible that other spacefaring civilizations were like using planets to like lily pad jump to our solar system because it was closer to theirs at the time? Is that possible? I believe so. And if that's true, then these made it to the moon, other planets in our solar system. And how do we know in the course of that time, another star, another sun in that solar system we were close to, wasn't showing light and as well as putting heat on our outer planets? How do we know? And therefore, it had life. They had life. There's no way of knowing. It's just, it's something to think about. Donnie, you put on there, Voyager 2 probe found wall of fire between our solar system and interstellar space. Yeah. You notice that they just said that now, it just, because the sun reaches so far out, right? With, the radiation and everything else, that it's actually gotten away from that now. So now it's definitely 100% interstellar. So yeah, it's starting to find some crazy stuff, but it'll be long dead before anything else after that. It'll pretty much crash and burn, so to speak. It just will just cease to function, but which kind of sucks. James, you said, Chris, I see you have turned off your fan in the ceiling. It's much getting colder over here. It's like the Arctic in Ireland at the moment. Oh yeah, I mean, we went from 90s all summer to like boom, it's just like couple 60s and then boom. Today's not too bad, but right now it's down to 41 degrees, and this thing's predicting it to go down to about 29, 28, which is kind of warm because we had a couple of days. Beginning of the week were like 14 and 17, I believe it was. So yeah, it was quite cool. And yeah, I've got another fan over here that's actually running. It just blows directly at me. I don't need the ceiling fan this time. Just shut it off. Pat Joan, you said some craters are not craters. Yeah, that's a fact. And you're going to see that in my next video. Pretty cool. Pete's Vlogs. What's going on, Pete? Good to see you in there, man. Said, hi, Chris. What's up, man? Well, not a whole lot. Just joining you fine people. Having a great time. Blue Sunset, did you ever go squatching in the wilderness of northern Maine? But you know what? I ought to ask my buddy. He just moved there not even a year ago. And he sees all kinds of stuff, elk and deer and all kinds of other stuff out there. And so I have to tell him, he's got about 8 acres of land, which is not huge, but it's a good sized piece of property, right? So I'm sure I'm going to ask him too. I haven't talked to him in a while. I have to ask him if he's seen anything bizarre out there. I just jumped off again. Hold on. Nacho, what's going on? Good to see you in there, man. Woohoo, we live. Highlight of the week. Did you see the real Jimmy R newest video? NASA changed all the links. Oh yeah, they definitely did. What they did was, this is funny because what they did was they made it a lot harder for you to find that. So what I still do is, and here's another crazy thing, guys. It's getting even more bizarre. What they're doing is now you've got. Let me see if I can find this because I don't know if they even say it on here. I don't think they do yet. Let me see if we can find this. Let me see here. Nope, that's not it. My bad. Let me check this out here. It goes to. It's actually the Midnight Planets site, but they're basically saying they're closing that site down too, guys. Think about this a minute. It's almost like they're making it more and more difficult for anybody to see what's going on. Is it possible they're getting into an area where they're just hoping you guys don't see these photos, period, and start to really pull these apart? I think that's the case, but I'm not seeing. Let me see if I can find this. I don't think they're going to say it. But the guy that was actually doing this has claimed that. He actually said that I'm closing it down. It's been a good run, so on and so forth. But he's going to try to hand it, either just shut it down. Now, believe it or not, Neville has actually said, "Listen, I like to keep the site and like to keep it running because he knows so much about these the photos. He actually can do some scaling because he's done some calculations. He wants to keep the site up and running. He hasn't heard anything from him yet, so we'll see what happens. But he actually wants to keep the site going. And so now, and he knows that like he's got like this little formula for an address on there where you can put on certain things and still find the actual photo on the NASA site. So in other words, it's difficult, but you can still find it. And I don't like the idea that they're doing that, but I think they're just trying to make it more and more difficult. So many people are jumping on these photos, and then a lot of people are saying, "Hey, you know what, NASA?" They're literally going to their site and saying, "Hey, what's going on?" They're getting probably bombarded by these people, and they're probably saying, "Yeah, this isn't good." So let's go ahead and make it difficult. So yeah, you got that right, Taff. The biggest gas giant in the solar system is NASA. They're definitely full of it. No, and you're right about that. You said you haven't caught a whiff of Oberg for a year, Chris. Yeah, exactly. Not sure what happened to him. Pete, I didn't see this until now. Appreciate your support, man. You are awesome. Again, I try to go like this. I try to move it down just a little bit. And literally the actual. I wish I could show you the screen. It literally the whole comment section just jumps right up. Like what the hell? So now you got to backtrack, and I hate doing that because some of you guys are like, "Oh man, he hasn't read my comment yet." I promise I will. 786 Auto. Hello, Chris. You said hello, Auto. What's going on? Good to see you in there. Mort Biad. Hello. Hi, everyone. Hi, Chris. What's going on? Good to see you in there, man. David Pierce, you said on the hi, Chris. Are more artifacts found near the equator or are objects distributed planet wide? Well, it's hard to know that, David, because here's the thing. Most of these crafts have been now we've had orbiters, right? They've basically mapped Mars, but most of them are next to the equatorial region. So we don't get to see a whole lot of that. But there's a reason why they went there. I mean, they had the orbiters check out these areas. And where would you find the best chance of life? Well, probably in the warmest sections or warmest areas of any planet, right? So you can bet that's exactly the reason why they went down there. And the fact that they're in Gale Crater, because basically it's like a bowl, right? And everything settles. So you got oxygen settling in there. You've got all kinds of, gases, like I said, argon, nitrogen, and what is it? Yeah, we've got the nitrogen and carbon dioxide, so on. All these gases are settling down there. So they're figuring this would be the best place to find any life or any of that sort. But I think there's a lot more to it. From what we're seeing in these photos, there's much more. So that, truthfully, I don't know. Mostly, again, all these crafts are right there, just south of the Cydonia region where they had the big face that they found. And of course, now they claim it's just lights and shadows, so that's BS. But regardless, yeah, most of them are just, like I said, next to the equatorial region. Ken the RN says, hey there, I just wanted to mention that a while back, about 8, 9 months ago, I was going through the Flickr photos of some of the Apollo missions. There were some anomalies present and easy to see. Well, and of course it stopped there. So I would imagine you can probably write the rest of it. I just went back to look at them again, and everything has been scrubbed out. Exactly. They're literally going over these, and that's the problem. So it's like you got to find the older um, moon photos, stuff like that. And Mars, again, I mean, here's the crazy part. If you take your phone, right, and just look at these photos from NASA or Midnight Planets, whichever way is easy for you. Um, when you look at these things, you can literally, when you zoom in, you can literally see where they change the texture of some of these areas. The stuff's just laying right there. And you can see the actual texture, like blurring and stuff like that. It's wild to see it, but you can see it plain as day where the stuff is being hidden. Soren Man, you put on there. Hi, Chris. So, what first got you interested in Mars? For me, it was Graham Hancock's book, Mars Mystery. Have you read it? No, I sure haven't. I'd like to. I haven't read it yet, but yeah, he's got some good information, man. He's very knowledgeable too. And I've actually seen a couple of the videos he has on, and I believe he's got his own site too as well. And like I said, it's awesome to just hear him talk and stuff like that. He's very knowledgeable, like I said, and like I said, I've been interested for quite a while. I really got into it when I started, watching videos probably about a year or two. Well, I was always interested in Mars, but as far as doing videos, it was about a year or two before I actually started making them. I started watching videos first and noticed that some things were being really blurred out. Stuff was being, mimicked, meaning rock mimicking software they put over these objects. Some of the things may be naturally encrusted in, from the elements and stuff like that over years, just all kinds of variances. It's just pretty crazy, just to see it. Patron, you said, don't think Elon could tell much from Mars once he is there. They would just cut him off if he said too much. Well, like I said, you know, think about it. If you were there and NASA said, okay, you're going to be working with us, right? This is what we're going to do for you. We're going to do the same thing we do to everybody else. Even though you're a big help to us, we got to keep this hush gag order. You're not allowed to say anything because we could basically still sue you, right? So, and we don't care how much money you got. We got a lot more than you'll ever have. So that's what they do. They literally would just say, you're not allowed to say anything. And think about it. If they said, here's the trade off. If you don't say nothing besides a gag order, we're going to show you everything there is on Mars. Oh, goody. So he just gets to see everything. He just says, I'll just keep my mouth shut. I don't care. And it'd be hard to do that. But I believe, some people can do that with ease. Guys, slam that like button. Hammer time. Paul Merlo. Is that city near any well-known landmarks? Not that I know of, Paul. I really don't. I don't think off the top of my head it is. Let me see. Glenn Judge, you said roads, trees, best one yet. Could be ruins. Yeah, it could be either or, right? It could be ruins or not. It's hard to tell, right? Yeah, just like if you were in a plane and looking down here. Yeah, exactly. And it was 156 or 159.1 miles above the Martian surface. So these things would look quite small. This is the reason why I didn't mention the scale in there, because I'm going, okay, 156 miles up. I don't know. It's pretty high. And I forgot what that equated to, because you can do feet as well, right? But regardless, I mean, that's pretty high up, right? And to me, it's just like, okay, they say it's only like 12 tenths of a mile. Something tells me the scaling's off. Now, I'm not saying it is, but they've been wrong before and try to, fool you with different scaling. And some of you guys have mentioned, like, how do we know that some of these photos of Mars, the stuff that we're seeing, they kind of shrank it down and then superimposed the actual rover in it to give it this, if you looked at it, you said, wow, that looks like a structure or something like, oh, it can't possibly be. That thing would only be that big. Think about it. So if they change the actual photo size, or it's the way the camera's looking at this, then it can fool your eye. So right off the bat, clearly it can't be a structure. There's no way. And it just helps you trip your mind up where, you just get, no, it can't be. And that's the whole idea, right? Uh, Galami Ruker. I don't know if I'm even pronouncing your name. My apologies if I'm not pronouncing it right. Hi, Chris. I'm a big French fan of you. Have you ever tried to recolorize picture like Jose Escamilla for the moon? I think you could see better and more details. Yeah, I thought about doing that myself. I try not to do too much because I don't want. I've seen people do this before, right? And what they do is they'll color over a certain area. And then, of course, people will blame me. Oh, well, you're just coloring because you purposely want people to think it's that. And I'm trying not to do enhancing is one thing, but I'm trying not to go too crazy with colors and stuff like that. This is the reason why I try to use a lot of black and white photos, which some of you guys have said, why did you use a black and white photo of that satellite one that we just previously did about the ruins or the city? And my response to that is because a lot of these photos they put colors into them to trip up the eyes. Again, we have this pukey orangey color on Mars. If you were to take out the colors and use it in Photoshop, where Photoshop recognizes the true colors or darn close to the true colors, the orange is nowhere to be found. All you got to do is hit auto color. You don't have to do anything else. And that's the way Photoshop perceives it. And it looks more natural to the human eye. Why is that? Well, if they put like this orange filter over there, then you can't see anything of individuality as far as like, well, that item over there is blue. Well, that one over there is gray. That one's orange, or whatever the case may be, right? So to me, it's just another way to trip up the eye. This is the reason I would rather put everything black and white if I can. Now, sometimes you'll see me use the colors, and then what I'll do is I'll like decrease the color as far as saturation. I'll decrease that, and then I'll show you a black and white as well. So you can actually see the shapes instead of the colors. Like half of this item might be blue and half of it might be green. It's like, wait a minute, if it's one object, how can it possibly be that? Unless it was designed that way. But clearly you can see the way they've done the photo. They try to trip up the eyes, like I said. I'd rather not use that if I can help it. Yes, MG Toe. We breathe 70% nitrogen, 28% oxygen, and 2% other gases. Well, that's what's in our atmosphere. So, yeah, we breathe that. And like I said, there's a lot of similarities to the gases from here to Earth. And the ones that are, for organics to live and basically thrive, again, carbon dioxide and oxygen. Well, both of them are on Mars. And because of seeing a spike in it, especially, I think they see it all the time, but they're just seeing 30% more spikeage of this oxygen. And again, it makes perfect sense. Well, plant growth, foliage, so on and so forth. It's going to give off more oxygen, right? Let me go way down here. Phil Cox is in the house with daughters Jessica and Kelsey Brown. Everybody welcomes everybody in here, man. That's just the way this chat. You guys are awesome. Ooh, this thing just jumped up again. God, I hate when this thing does this. Julie loves trees. Loves trees. I love trees too. If you stare at pics, your eyes can see depth more of of structures. Well, that's true. I mean, you know, and here's the thing. Again, one of their ways of hiding what's on the surface of anywhere, whether it be the moon or Mars, is to put like a blur. Take out the shadowing. You take the shadowing out in darker areas, stuff like that. It gives the illusion of 2D as opposed to 3D. So if you take all the shadows out, make everything look flat, which basically it does, it makes everything look flat, especially from a distance. Excuse me. And, so by taking all these shadows and these darker areas out, whether maybe it's part of this object that's darker, right? Maybe a detail in it. Take it all out. You don't see any depth of it. You don't see no height of the object either. So by putting this back in, that's the reason why we burn, to try to bring anything that's already dark in the actual photo, which is being covered, to bring it out, give it more height and depth. And that's the whole idea of it. Basically put back in what they've taken out or trying to hide. That's what it comes down to. Mike Hoover said, so possibly their notion, our notion, that everything is covered in iron oxide could be totally BS. Or is Photoshop not coloring the iron oxide like it should be? Well, funny enough, I'm glad you mentioned that, Mike, because funny enough, I've actually, when I used autocolor from Photoshop, you could still see red in a lot of that area on the ground. So it is, in fact, still there. Um, but to say the whole picture is, it doesn't make sense. Like I said, I've seen photos, and I know you guys have seen this. I'm sure you have, where you could just see the face, or at the very bottom of the photo, you can see like the wheel of the Curiosity rover, right? And and it's completely orange too. Wait a minute, how can it be orange when it's a black wheel? It makes no sense. So you know they're using the Molly cam, which has that red filter door. It literally comes down and closes, takes a photo. But if they keep that down there, nobody can see it. In other words, you can't see the real colors. Raise it up, and they can see all the real colors they want. Close it, you get all the red. So it's an actual filter that they're using on it. It's not real. That is horseshit. I mean, as far as I'm concerned. Love trees, yes. Roma 11, you said blur is reversible operation. Yeah, yeah, it is. And a lot of times you have to, even if you can't see the object, right? You can literally almost see the outline by burning around through it, and you'll actually see something standing there. Now, you may not be able to find out what the heck it is, but clearly it's there. Something is standing there. Now, again, what it is, we'll never know because the intention was not for you to, or me or you to see it, right? Gaussian blur has only one parameter we have to guess. Pretty much. That's true too. Custom tailored one. You said you can give a 2D, two-dimensional photo, a 3D, well, 3D dimensional properties using a computer program. That's true too. Which I may start actually dabbling in and really checking this thing out a little bit more. Right. Phil, you said me personally, I think that they downsize to survive in what's left of the atmosphere. I've seen small structures, humanoid figures, and writing in these images. And you're right, I have too. Um, you know, again, I mean, it's isn't it hard to get your mind wrapped around if this is true, right? Knowing what we see in there, it's hard to tell what the size of these things are. And a lot of times, like I said, they used to give a lot of scaling guides. They don't do it anymore. And as you can see, they're trying to like even hide what's in the photos, and then trying to make it even more difficult for you to even find the photos to begin with. So, you know how that's working out. So, um, yeah, it's crazy how they do this, and I think you're right. The more you look into these, like I said, it looked like those toys where it looked like this weird rock and would look like it had wheels and all this other. What is that and why is it there and how big is this stuff? But when I showed you the actual pan where you can see this thing off in a distance, like I said, these things were no more than 6 to maybe 10 inches in length, tops, absolute tops. Judging, of course, that was a guesstimate from the actual rover camera itself to that ground. And you can almost see yourself standing there and get an idea. Like you can walk over there, just pick this thing up with your hand, and it's probably like this big. I mean, so are these, Martians super tiny or these toys? It just still boggles the mind. It could be neither, but the whole point is, what the hell are they and why are they on Mars? That's my question. That's my two biggest questions every time I see these things. Mike, you said shit just became much more trickery. The SOBs. Yeah, well, they got a whole arsenal of stuff. They can change up different ways. They can put spot blurring, spot digitalization, um, color, depth wise. They can do all kinds of crazy stuff to fool the eye, combination of things. This is why I said what applies in one photo may not apply in another. So you got to know these photos, and just by looking at it, you can tell, okay, I'm going to have to use this tool to try to burn it out and try to get it out, so on and so forth. Um, whether to use equalization, it doesn't matter. There's different ways of getting into these photos, right? And trying to find what's really in them. 129 watching, 83 thumbs up. Come on, guys, hammer time. Hit it. Exactly, George. You're right. You said in there, it's the same when you see Mars from space. It's all the red stuff, pure crap. Well, what's funny about it is when India went there with its mom satellite, right? What was funny about this is that if you take that photo and just put it into um, in Photoshop, just do autocolor. Don't have to do a thing to it. And then enhance as far as contrast wise, nothing more. Don't add colors. Don't do any of that. And guess what happens? You can see the photo. It actually has a blue atmosphere, very thin, but it's there. You can see natural colors on the planet. It's not at all red like you see it. Now, people go, well, that's a bunch of crap because I've got a telescope and I can see that it's red. That's right. You absolutely can. And you're absolutely right. Again, and I've said this before, if you were to back way out, you would notice Earth is mostly all blue. It's all blue. It's like this just blue marble, right? But the more you get into it, the more you get into the planet, what do you see? Well, wait a minute. Now you're starting to see your browns. Now you're starting to see greens. Now you're starting to see, now the closer and closer you get, you start to see forest. You start to see all this. But back way out, what do you see? Okay, now I want you to reverse that. Now Mars is mostly land and not water. Okay, so now as you get closer to Mars, what happens? Okay, it's all red from a distance. We're seeing it, and you're absolutely true. It's absolutely right. But as you get closer, wait a minute, you're starting to see more colors, you're starting to see more green, you're starting to see more blues. Oh, you know what I mean? So now you're starting to see the real colors of this planet. And it's the same thing you would see here on Earth. Earth is mostly made up of water. Okay. Again, from a distance, it's all blue. The more you got into it and closer to the atmosphere, well, wait a minute. Now you're starting to see the browns and greens and all that other stuff. It's no different. So, yes, it is absolutely red when you look through with a telescope. Yeah, Roma 11, yeah, he said, Chris, I really want to help out with this shite. I get pissed, basically. You said get mad seeing the freaking NASA photo. Yeah, I mean, you can hit me up on my Facebook page, Mars Anomalies. You can hit me up on there and message me. I'll get back to you. Yeah, Mike, you're right about that. We're lifers, so we are lifers. So they got a battle on their hands. I will get more proof from the up and coming generation. They will not be as conformed. Well, yeah, I mean, I think if people open up their minds and just start saying, you know what, I don't care if young, old, doesn't matter what it is, and they just take an inkling to it and say, you know what, I want to really investigate this. Maybe it's just pure BS, And I tell people that when the new people are coming to my channel, I'm not sure this is true. And then listen, check it out yourself. And I encourage anybody to do that. Go for it. It's the reason why I leave the links. And it's always in my pin post at the very top of the comment section. You'll see mine always pinned at the top. And all the links are in there. All you got to do is check it out. I give you the link so you can check it out. Make your own decision. You know what I mean? I'm not saying, guys, you got to believe this. That's it. No, 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 no. We all got a brain here. I want everybody to use their own too. Julie, Love Trees, you put on there, tech was on the moon, astronaut said. Yeah, I mean, from what they were saying, it's like this spacecraft on the edge of the crater. They're watching us, so on and so forth. And I wouldn't be a bit surprised. Like I said, I mean, this next moon video I got, these, this moon photos, I never thought in a million years I'd see anything in these things. And you could see what look like crafts that are just, dilapidated, just laying on their sides or laying in a crater or on the inside of a crater, just crazy stuff. What is it doing there? It's clearly not a crater. no matter what it is, it's clearly intelligently made. I don't care if it's Humpty Dumpty. The point is, it's not natural and it doesn't belong on the moon, or nor does some of these things belong on Mars, right? So what are they? That's all there is to it. Woke as Ferk. You put on there hashtag NASA lies. Yeah, they're not. They're definitely not forthcoming in the truth as far as what's going on. If they were watching this right now, I'd say, listen, what do you got to lose? Do a poll on this. You know, how many people do you think? And if they put this on the poll, question would be, would you freak out if you knew there was other intelligent life in our solar system and out there? I think the majority of people would say, well, no, not at all. I kind of expect that. And then some people would probably say, well, I'd probably be a little nervous, a little scared about this, so on and so forth. And it'd be, understandable because it's the fear of the unknown. So I get that. And everybody would be a little apprehensive if they said, well, wait a minute, we actually found stuff that was on Mars that wasn't very long ago. Now people are saying, oh God, so are these beings still there? Are they going to come here? Are they going to be whatever? So I understand that. It makes perfect sense. But yeah, I don't believe everybody lose their mind. I think it's too late for that crap. I think people are a lot more on board than they think. See, that's one thing, guys. It's what's really crazy about upgrading to Windows 10 is that, see, on the other computer, I could see the emojis. You guys doing the peace and smileys and all kinds of. I couldn't see that on before with 8.1. You know what I mean? I could see it on the other computer because that one's running Windows 10 Pro, and I didn't have it on this computer at the time because I figured, it's running all right. Let's just go ahead and leave it. But then I said, the license was going to run out for it, so I said, just upgrade it, be done with it. So, but now you can see it, perfectly, right? Taff, you put on there Pier 11686 Enceladus. Yeah, Enceladus, the moon. Again, crazy, crazy stuff. I've done videos on that where they show what these look like, these ice jets coming out of it. And if because of the sun shining at them, of course, you got these shiny ice particles. But when you look at them, they look like high-powered spotlights. And I actually explained that in the video. It's coming out of the southern hemisphere of the moon, right? Of Enceladus. And what's funny about it is when you see it, they look like beams of light than more than particles. And when people go, well, you got to understand, this is from a distance, so you're not going to see the individual, particles. And they're absolutely right. So yes, it could very well be icy streams. But my question was, and I've said this before about, whether it be asteroids or anything with a tail, flying through space. Okay. If it goes next to the sun, a lot of these rocks will, give off a gas or some kind of vapor. Okay. When does it run out of the vapor? I mean, they're flying through all kinds of space and everything else. When does it run out? It's like having like poking a small tiny hole, like real tiny hole into your pool of, like an above ground pool. Just put a little hole where it's not going to break, but just enough. Okay, it's just going to keep coming out, keep coming out, keeping out. Eventually, it's going to run out. What's replenishing it? Unless you fill it up, what's replenishing it? So when you see the moon like Enceladus, you got the planet itself actually, pulling and tugging on it and, pushing it back. And so it's causing this to heat inside. So this water vapor comes out and, of course, it instantly freezes. Makes absolute sense. But how much water vapor is in this darn moon, and does it ever run out? No, I don't believe that's true. I believe that's true to a certain degree, but if it's been doing that for millions upon millions of years, what's putting the water vapor back in this planet, or on the moon, rather? Doesn't make any sense. And I've done a video on it. You can put on Enceladus, look for it in my videos, and yeah, it's absolute crap. Julie, you said on aliens found all over the world, just like giants and Bigfoot, all real. But yeah, I mean, you know, the more we investigate our surroundings, the more we're finding we're just kind of dumbfounded, right? Like, oh my God, I can't believe this. And all of these, in Central America, you find the Mayans and all kinds of like, pyramids and structures that they didn't know was there. But now they're starting to use a lot more satellite imaging, and therefore they're finding these things deep in the forest, and they're still buried. They've only uncovered like a small percentage of anything in that area. So there's much more there. It does, Taff. You're right. It does suck big time. 8.1. It works fine. Don't get me wrong, but and some of the newer, you know, software or whatever you may be using might actually not work correctly with it. So I was like, enough of that crap. Time to just just update it and be done with it. But you got to make sure everything else is updated now. Everything functions with it and everything else. Whether it be your printers, other stuff. Yeah, you're right about that, Rome 11, yeah, fudge marks and all kinds of stuff, they're easy to see. Oh, yeah, absolutely. You can see these things, like I said, just use your phone. Just use your phone on these things, and it's funny. You just check out any of these, Martian photos and just zoom into it. You see exactly where they've actually you can see, like, an object sitting there, but it's the same exact texture as the background and surroundings. Wait a minute. It's not a rock because clearly you can see it's fudged out. It's kinda like you can see where they blurred it. So it's not something that's got a nice crisp look to it, like a rock, an outcropping of rocks. None of that. You don't see any of that. It's just a blur, but there's an actual object sitting there. Come on. Taff, you said your feature of Ganymede was outstanding, bro. Yeah, I mean, the more I looked in, here's the funny part. I think I even showed this in there. Here you have a moon. Okay. Again, we're going to go with NASA says. I'm going to say they're straight up and they're being honest. Okay. Until you start to get into this one photo, because this is funny, and Taff, you've probably seen this yourself. You see the moon from a distance, and then you see these reflective ice particles shooting out of. They're supposed to be, like I said, like jets, liquid jets, and then as soon as they come out, they immediately freeze. Okay. First of all, I think they'd be a lot more scattered. They would be like kind of like blowing out this way, right? But instead, you see them going out straight out like this. But here's the funny part: when you see these, and again, they have it flipped because it's in a telescope, right? But it's actually the southern part of the moon, so it'd be down here. But when you look at a telescope, it's on the top. But the one I seen was like it was on the top, and you could see what looks like these jets, these water jets, these frozen jets. But what's funny about it, you can see these rectangular shadows in between them. Well, wait a minute. This is a moon. Why are we seeing anything like you know? Why are we seeing anything with a shadow at all? Especially rectangular or anything like that. And you can actually tell there's like multiple shadows, like a shadow overlaying another shadow, like they're lights. And and there's like shadows again projected into shadows. Figure that out. Just look it up. Just look up Ganymede and look at there's one. It's like I said again. It shows his water vapor on the top, and then you see these supposed jets coming out, and you can see these shadows one behind the other. That doesn't make any sense to me. Brian Norton, you asked Chris, what's the opinion on the disclosure time frame? In other words, 5, 10 years, never. I'm thinking a nobody will blow it all open. Where it is will be undisputed. Your thoughts? Yeah, I believe it's almost like I said. It has to be almost like somebody's got to be disgruntled, right? They get to the point, well, I've had enough, and I'm just going to just blurt it out, and hopefully they don't shoot me tomorrow, and you know what I mean. And that's the whole thing. Or again, they've been doing this, guys. Like I said, they talked about it's like I said, this drip kind of disclosure going on where water cycle, water on the surface. The poles were carbon ice. Oh, wait a minute. Now they're actual water ice underneath the carbon ice, just like we have here on Earth. Now, we've had past few years, at least maybe 4 or 5 years, big plumes of methane. Oh, wait a minute. Now there's a spike 30% of oxygen. So again, we're starting to see more and more of the disclosure. And I think they're trying to set it up because they're going to let the cat out of the bag at some point. And I don't mean, guys, look what we found, structures, this, that, and the other. I mean, they'll probably find small plant life. What was that? Was it Mission to Mars? What was that movie where the astronauts came upon this field of it looked like a moss, and then all of these little creatures were eating off of it, and that's what was causing the oxygen. Remember that? I don't know if you guys remember. Was it Mission to Mars? And they, like I said, it was like these little tiny beetle type things, and they got into the guy's suit and basically killed him, right? But it was algae. They were eating the algae, and that's what was giving off the oxygen. So you've got the spike in oxygen, then you get the spike of methane. There you go. Here we go. So maybe they're following that movie. It's hard to tell. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, to be truthful, I don't know about disclosure, man. I think it's again dripping, dripping. Maybe it'll be 5 to 10 years. You know what I mean? And again, you can't just go, man, I'm just waiting for that one day they're just going to tell us all. No, they're not going to do that. We're putting the pieces together. And once you got the puzzle together, it just comes clear. There's much more on there than what they're telling us. Daniel, you put on there, a lot of these moons are too cold, people say, and on the surface they are, but the way Jupiter and Saturn stretch and pull their moon beneath the surface where the water is perfect with temperature. Yeah, exactly. It's underneath is okay. This is the reason why we get Enceladus like that. Again, it's constantly expanding and contracting, and it's letting out this water vapor, right? And like I said, my question is, when does this damn thing run out of vapor? When does it run out of water? It's been doing it for millions of years, millions upon millions of years. What's replenishing it? I just, yeah, I'd love to know that. Uh, Daily assist forever. Is that what how it is? I can make the screen a little bit bigger here. I see the same structures on the moon as you showed on Venus and Mars. They all seem to have the octagon base with a piece sticking up from the center like a radar. Exactly, and I've seen this more than once there. Now, what are they? You know, again, I can understand a crater because craters do have that. You know, if you have a rock come in from space, it slams into there. Well, you're gonna have like this, broken up rock right in the middle of this crater, and of course, you get the ejector. Right, makes perfect sense. I'm all with it. But when you just see these flat craters like on the moon, they're super wide. Some of these things are like 100 miles wide, if not bigger, and some of them are a lot smaller. They could be like you can put your foot in one. That's how tiny these things are. Okay, so but they're no deeper. The ones that are 100 miles or a mile, friggin' whatever, how big they are, they're not much difference in depth as the smaller ones. What gives? Doesn't make any sense, right? Oh, okay, Roma, I see what you're saying. You said, Chris, I am an image processing engineer. Good to know. Like I said, just hit me up on Facebook. We can talk. Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, they're fudging these things out, and then they use, like I said, they use different ways. I've noticed this, where they've actually got a tool where it looks like compression artifacts, and they're not. They're literally clicking right over it, and it's like a digital block, and they're putting over it. Now, that's not all the time they do that, because sometimes spot blurring, splot, and you've got like just different techniques that they use to hide these things. That's what it comes down to, right? What the thing just jumped up again on me. Woke as Ferg says, drip, drip, drip. Absolutely. Julie said, yeah, like geysers on moon. Saw that. Yeah. Like I said, I'm okay with the idea of that. I have no problem. If it's in fact that's the real deal. Okay, cool. Like I said, at some point that water has to run out from underneath. Because again, it's not like it's only been doing it for like a year, right? This thing has been doing it for millions of years. And they say, well, this happens on, it's just continuous. Okay. Do they have something like replenishing the water there somehow? I mean, how does that work? Philip, you said, yeah, that was a good movie. Yeah, it was. And like I said, and it's kind of like the same thing that's almost like they're following suit here, right? Because again, We got this methane or methane, and you go, okay, well, to me, organics give that off. Now, again, they say there could be natural processes and stuff like that. Could be natural things that are going on with the planet, but the planet's supposed to be dead. It's not supposed to be anything going on. Now, remember, like a couple of years back, they talked about this one of the three volcanoes started to erupt. You never heard a word about that again, right? Now, I actually looked at that photo and I saw something that didn't really look like like they said that like it blew out the side of the actual kind of like a Mount St. Helen kind of thing, right? It blew the side right off the actual, volcano itself. Well, when I brought down the brightness and everything else, it looked like something square, and it was emanating from it. Now, what that was, I don't know. Or there was something they put over what would they didn't want you to see over that, and it happened to be a square. But whatever it was something there. It's almost like something crashed there and just burned. You know what I mean? Or something exploded there. And that's what caused that because you don't hear another thing about the volcano on Mars. Have anybody else heard about it? Did I just not see that or what? Uh, Dan, you said if any of these have life, then we know that the universe has to be infested with life. Maybe complexion. Well, intelligent life would be more. Let's see, be more rare. Even so, then would be billions of civilizations. Oh yeah, I mean, absolutely. All right, Rama, I got you in there. I just showed up on the phone there on my Facebook. President Gorbachev rather, said that they're alien craft, but not built on this planet. They are from somewhere else. Nobody said nothing. Um, what will it take? I mean, there's actually high priority. These people, like some of these people, like pilots and stuff like that, and they just kind of like laugh at them, like it's a joke. It's like it's not a joke, man. These people are seeing this stuff. Who would you believe more? People that are just flying in the skies constantly, whatever jet they may fly, whether it be military, regular airlines, whatever it may be. I'm going to believe these guys because they're going to say, "Listen, I can tell, I can judge from X amount of feet away, within reason." And they can also say, listen, I know from, I'm 40,000 feet up, this thing's below me at X amount. They can judge this pretty well, right? And they can tell what another aircraft looks like. I mean, and if they're talking to the, uh, airport itself and they're looking at, hey, you got anything on the radar? No, we got nothing. Or they do, then you go, oh, well, okay, then what is it? Or it's moving. You know what I mean? They talk constantly, so they know what's up. And I'd rather believe them guys before anybody else, and especially the astronauts, where they talk about this crash on the crater wall looking down at us. So yeah. Bullet Tooth, you put on there. Who got to secure Team 10? No more Tyler. Well, it seemed to me he was coming back, and I don't know what happened. He like did one or two of them, and then I don't know what happened after that. Who knows? It's hard to tell. No, Roman, I got you. Like I said, I definitely will talk with you. Julie, you said Essence Books was thousands of tablets that discuss extraterrestrial. Yeah, I mean, there's more than one. Ancient civilizations talked about that, right? And of course, they've got hieroglyphs, petroglyphs, all kinds of crazy stuff. Where there's things that just don't look natural. It looks like something we would see as like we see like alien crafts and stuff like that. So yeah, nuts. They're playing with disclosure at their leisure. Oh yeah, listen. They know exactly when to just let the stuff out slowly, so on and so forth. Yeah. So that's going to happen. You're going to see that. They're just going to slowly let some things out and some things not so much. Stephen Hobbs, you said there's water vapor all around in space. It lands on the moon. Yes, it does. There was astronauts that their suits were actually wet at some point. So yeah, Yeah, Josh D. Yeah, I think you're right because I remember hearing about that as well. You said in there Tyler had personal problems, dude. Yeah, absolutely. And I've said this before because remember I was saying that heck a lot of the people were literally beating him up, literally just like attacking him, and I'm like, my God, man, give this guy a break. He was literally putting out 2 to 3 videos a day. I mean, at some point, even that has to catch up to you, right? So I just said, well, you know what? I just assume, uh, I mean, don't get me wrong. It'd be nice if he actually told people, what's going on. And I don't mean his personal life. He has to get into it. I mean, just like, guys, just for personal reasons, I have to back out. I have to, give it a rest for a few weeks or whatever. This way, people would better understand. Now, I'm sure a lot of them still wouldn't be happy, but at least they would know, right? And I think that was everyone's biggest complaints. But if the guy's got personal problems, let it be. That's the way I look at it. Julie said tablets trickled out under lock by Jewish community. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot. Listen, there's a lot of stuff that texts and stuff like that that people have been hiding from the public, right? For I don't know how long, but yeah, and they just want to just hide it from the public. I think they should just let everything out, let everybody know everything. That's the way I look at it. James, you put in there, Chris. One more Greek Colosseum looking structures in the last video, like the ones in the videos from last week and in a few weeks ago as well. I mean, what does that tell you, man? Well, you know, there's some things we'll see that look something we see here on Earth, right? We'll say, man, it just has that weird look to it. That looks just like something we would see here on Earth. And then there's things that are crazy things. Well, that can't possibly be a structure. It doesn't look like anything we'd build. Well, what makes everybody think they will? I mean, different, whether it's different gravity, different atmosphere, whatever they can get off the planet, whatever they can build their structures with, it may change from, planet to planet to planet. They probably wouldn't build like us. Who knows? Of course, there's no way of us knowing that, but other than what we see in the photos, right? Aleva Canapilla. I'm not fun. I've seen you on there a couple of times. I'm trying to get back down to where we're supposed to be here. Thank you for the video. See you later. Well, if you're taking off, well, good seeing you in there. If you guys found I haven't answered one of your questions, just go ahead and put it again. Because I'm trying to like get way down to the bottom here, so this way I can answer you guys more. Yeah, you can't handle the truth. You're right about that, Your Highness. Stig, taking off. Said, gotta go. Keep the videos coming and look after yourself. Well, I appreciate that. And have yourself a good one in there, right? SC, I didn't even see you sneak in there. What's going on? Good to see you in there. Brian, he said, wow, Mike, you live in Ohio? Maybe I'll come over. Well, yeah, we're all neighbors, man, over here in WV. No, actually, we've been talking about quite a bit of stuff, William. You said, hi, Chris. This is a Saturday. This is Saturday. Did I miss it? Something? Yeah, we were just basically talking about different topics. Everything from different moons to, what they've been finding on Mars lately, 30% spike in oxygen here and there, well, mostly in Gale Crater. Just bunch of crazy stuff. Oh, yeah, you said the military, you said Navy guy said that the presidents know of aliens. Yeah, because they're top brass. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm sure some of these, you know, like military stuff like that, they're just tell anybody, listen, I don't care if you're the president or not. You're on a need to know basis. That's it. Boom. See you later, woke. You put on there. Go. Gotta go. Peace. You guys you have a good night there, right? Octavital, good to see you in there. You put on there, no, I think that there's a I'm sorry, terraforming objective, and the leftovers on Mars are pretty much the leftover construction materials and so forth. Yeah, I mean, I think of it a little differently. I think again they had such a like a thriving civilization like we have now, had this catastrophic event happen, and what they're up there is like a recon mission. They're up there to see what's left over, whether it be technology, what happened to it, trying to discover what happened to the planet. There's probably some kind of war, whatever happened on the planet, whatever it may be, right? And I strongly believe that's the case. Now, I believe a lot of the structures are probably still there, and you can literally still walk into these things. Now, again, pure speculation, but that would be something, if they could, and I believe they can. I don't believe it's like if you had a war in any country here on Earth. Yeah, I mean, unless they're dropping like a bomb, a nuclear bomb, right in the middle of this, town center. Yeah, there's probably not gonna be nothing standing unless you get on the outskirts of it. Then there's gonna be some structures laying down, and of course, some of them is still gonna be okay. So I think that may be the case we're seeing here, right? Suffolk Searcher. You said, "Hi, Mars Anomalies from the UK. Do you think if NASA told all they know, it would scare a lot of the public?" Well, like I said, we've discussed this before where I think a lot of people would be apprehensive. I think they'd be scared to a certain degree. I don't mean like frightened out of their mind, but because a lot of this stuff has been already public, right? And if you haven't seen anything about the Tic Tac, what these look like craft or whatever it was, and the Navy gentleman talks about it, and if you haven't seen it, and chances are one of your friends haven't told you about it. Now, I think that a lot of people would be on board, be like, "Yeah, I kind of figured that." That's the response you get from people. They'd be like, "Yeah, it's kind of hard to believe that we're not the only person around. I mean, but wow, you found something on Mars. Well, that's great. What did you find?" And I don't think they'd be too frightened. Now, again, some people may say, start asking a ton of questions. Who are they? Were they, would they harm us if they were still there? So on and so forth. So they'd be asking the critical questions, and that's something maybe NASA doesn't want to answer all at once. So yeah, it's hard to tell, right? Um, I think most people would be like, "Yeah, why would we think we're the only civilization out there?" That's what I think most people would respond. You know, and then some people, like I said, maybe a little weird, like yeah, might be a little scared. Bush Corey, what's going on? You said on there, Chris, your new video definitely looks like a town with roadways. Blew my mind. Yeah, I mean, when I first saw that, like I said, when Neville had put that on Facebook, I'm looking at this thing, I'm going, what the hell? So I asked him right out, and because, like I said, we're friends, I just went on there. I said, "Hey, did you do anything to this photo at all?" He says, "Nope. All I do is I just adjusted the contrast just to bring it down a little bit more, give it a little bit more depth. That was it. That's all he did to it. And all I do is I just did the actual details in between all these lighter areas and brought down the real bright areas to try to bring that out more. So there's really no variances or like huge variances between what he did and I did. And I showed you that in my video, where you don't see a whole lot of any difference other than little darker hand. Then I brought the whole photo down. So the areas that were super bright, I brought them down by doing that. And you can see the stuff in there. It's just crazy. Julia, I mean, if you what was it what was the name of that book that guy wrote? Because you put on there, let me see. A word is Saturn rings mind. Well, this from what I heard, it was the makers of the rings. I think it was the name of the book that it was written, and makers of the rings. I think it was something like that. And what's funny about it is the way he describes it. There's actually either structures or something on them rings. And there was one photo, only one time I seen this, where it showed the rings, and then when you zoomed in, there was a bunch of blurring in one area, and the rest of it was fine, and then there's a little bit more blurring. I'm saying, okay, was that somehow the camera was like that, or why would it be like a spot blurring, or like a it looked like it was just I call them artificial artifacts, like compression artifacts. I think that's the case, right? But I don't know. Well, yeah, Your Highness, you put on there Brookings report, or Brookings Institute says we can't cope. Yeah, back in NASA come up with that, the Brookings report. You guys can look this up, and basically what they're trying to find out is how people would react to extraterrestrials. And you can Google that, and it's right on Wikipedia. And they actually talk about how, what was it, 1960s, was it? How they talk about that. There was, how would people simply react to it? And I think back then they would be correct. But because of all of these space movies that are out now, long after that, we had Star Trek, we had all kinds of stuff like that, Space 1999. Of course, a lot of them started back in the 60s, but then it was 70s and 80s. And, all kinds of stuff. We had, like I said, all kinds of space. So at the time, people might have been freaked out then, not now. Come on. They're too desensitized to that kind of thing now. Yeah, ring makers of Saturn. That's it, Mike. That's it. Dr. Joshua, you said, I am a theologian and I firmly believe that God created life throughout the cosmos. Isaiah 40 and 22. God spread out the heavens as he, yeah, exactly. And that's what I'm saying. I've actually talked to people who are religious and I asked them, I said, what would you do or what would be your thoughts on a civilization, other civilizations out there? They said, I wouldn't worry about it. I said, but what happens if it was Mars? Again, I wouldn't worry about it because God created all. At least that's the way they say it. That's the way their views are. And I said, well, there you go. So what are they freaked out about? Now, again, some people might say, because some people have actually commented on my page saying, oh, aliens are nothing more than demons, this, that, and the other. I said, listen, when you think of demon, what do you think of, right? You think of, causing hate and discontent and being evil and so on and so forth. But they haven't done that. So that's why, to me, that kind of goes out the window as far as I'm concerned. I don't believe that's the case at all. If there was any evil beings out there, they would have totally annihilated us just like that if they wanted to. And that's not the case. You don't see that. I think they're long far beyond all that crap as far as warring and all this other stuff. I think it's just trash. I think if they really wanted this planet, they would take it over. And if they want anything here, they would have took it over a long time ago. Ah, whore. Hey, Chris, it's been a while. Hit that like button. Cheers. I appreciate you, man. Cheers right back at you. That's right. Slam it, guy. Hit it. Mike, you put on there, Chris, 99% rather of these structures are not our construction. Uh, there is so much to it, I guess. It's so old of engineering that we haven't had the time, right? 60s, that's it. Well, again, I believe, when you look at this stuff, especially on the moon. Like I said, and this is the reason why I started going back to the moon. At least I was just doing strictly Mars, right? So the reason why I started doing the moon was this. If it started on the moon, in other words, where did we see life first? So if we looked at the moon and saw crazy stuff on there, okay, and it's not ours, then there's life everywhere else. It's not like, aliens just grew out of the moon, right? So they had to have come from somewhere. And when you see some of these spacecraft, they're just laying on their side. They're just completely laying on the planet normal. Just these weird structures, just crazy stuff. When you see these things, you go, okay, clearly it's not ours. So what's that tell you? There's life somewhere else. And as soon as NASA or any of these guys seen this, that's all it took. They're in a frenzy now. And I would not blame them in the least bit. If I saw these things, I'd be going, guys, get out there. Come on, man. Let's go out and find some more. Let's go. Let's do it. There you go. It's just, you're not going to stop. You want to know what it is. Exactly, Julia. You said their fear is self-induced, and that's the whole thing I think of too. I go, listen, I mean, it's a bunch of crap, right? You know, it's like they try to do that purposely. Like I said, when you look at movies like Independence Day, and you wonder why people, oh, I hope we never find aliens. What makes them think they're going to be like that? Like I said, to me, we're the small kids on the block, right? And like I said, I think we're just learning how to walk. We're looking at hell. We haven't even looked at every corner of our planet yet. We're finding ancient civilizations we never even thought was there. They're underwater. They're in Japan. You're underwater. There's, again, South America, different, jungles. We're finding all kinds of crazy structures we never even thought existed until we started using radar imagery. Then all of a sudden, boom, 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 stuff's starting to pop out of nowhere. And we're going, wow, we never knew this was here. Yeah, it's in your own damn backyard and you don't even know it's there. And yet, they claim to know everything that's out there. But once they seen these structures, that's all it took. It's like a kid in a candy store. People just, they took off. That was it. Now, I think it was, who was it talking about this? And I'm going to do some space news for you guys too, pretty soon. Pretty interesting stuff. But I think it's, was it China? They want to go to Mars now. And they've got this facility now. It's this huge frame they got out in this facility. I saw the photo of it, and I think I might have it here. But they actually talk about, they're going to land their craft kind of like how we did it, like the Curiosity, with a crane type thing, and they're going to lower it. It's going to be similar to that. I don't think they're going to do it like they did with the Opportunity and Spirit rover, where they had them in basically these giant airbags. And what they do is just released them, and they just bounce, bounce, bounce. They came to rest. They opened up like a flower. The landing gear opened up, well, not the landing gear, but the ramps, and then of course the rovers came off. They're going to do something similar to what NASA did. Pretty crazy. On this day in space, November 16th, 1974, Arecibo Observatory broadcast interstellar message. And basically that was the one that showed, if you guys want, I'll give you the link. And it shows like people, where our planet is in relation to other planets. Humans sent the first message to the stars in the attempt to contact extraterrestrials. They did this using what was then the largest radio telescope in the world, located at Arecibo Observatory in Puerto Rico. The group of scientists led by Frank Drake and Carl Sagan sent their message to the M13 star cluster, right? The message was written in binary code and contained information about human DNA. It also included figures of a human, the solar system, and the Arecibo telescope. The idea was that if any aliens were to receive the signal and figure out how to decode it, they would know where it came from. So I'll drop this link. You guys can actually check this out. It's pretty cool. Pretty neat stuff. There you go. See if I can find this other one here. Here's how much NASA is paying per seat on SpaceX's Crew Dragon, and Boeing's Starliner. Boeing's astronaut taxi will cost NASA about 60% more per seat rather than SpaceX's vehicle will, according to the new report by the Space Agency's Office of Inspector General. Pretty crazy. All right, there it is. Watch China simulate a Mars landing for 2020 mission to Red Planet. Going there too. There's nothing there to see, guys. Just a barren planet, just dust and rocks, cold, hot. Nothing there to see. But you know what? Hey, it's nothing there to see. But you know what? Let's just get up there. Let's spend millions upon millions of dollars just to get to Mars, just to see rock. That's all we're going there for. China just tested out its brand new facility for simulating Mars landings, marking a big step in the nation's planned march to the Red Planet. Imagine that. And it basically shows the same thing. It says China test Mars lander on a tether. Now, I'll give you the link to it because it's got a video there too. China just tested its brand new facility for simulating Mars landings, marking a big step for the nation's planned march to the Red Planet. The facility in northern China's Hebei province includes a tower nearly 460 feet or 140 meters tall, a servo system, and a Martian surface simulated area. So I'll give you the link to that. It's cool the way this thing's constructed too. It's massive. So they're talking about their landing procedure. Again, another country going there, man. For what reason? There's nothing there to see, guys. Nothing there at all. But I think they're really curious, or they're actually going to help out as well. I just dropped a link. You guys can check that out yourselves. William Robinson, you said Americans will probably take out the Chinese probe. Don't want them to get a hold of the tech. Well, yeah, I mean, again, but there's space agencies, which is basically, like I said, a PR move, and then there's the higher ups, the people that are into, like, I'm going to call it the black ops part of it. I'm not sure if that would be technical word for it, but it probably is. Um, and like I said, if they got this United Space, agency kind of thing where they're all in on it, kind of like the United Nations, right? And they make decisions together. They help each other out. Well, I believe they're doing the same thing. And these are the higher ups. These are the like more, like the military and stuff like that. And I think that's what's really going on with that situation. There's two sides to it. There's the public side of it, which we see all the time and how they talk about what's going on, everything else. And then there's the side we don't see, like a black ops where they're doing all of the behind scenes stuff, right? That's what I think's going on. Well, I agree, MG Toe. You said, do not allow our species to contact others. Let them contact us to see their intentions. Well, like I said, to me, it's like if their intentions were hostile, right? They would have just came here and just annihilated us, period. Whether it be through explosive means or just some kind of germ warfare something that they know would kill humans and just spray it into the atmosphere, just kill everybody on the planet. To me, that would make sense to do that, and you could still preserve the planet for yourself. Something that wouldn't kill you, but it would kill them. Or I should say, something that wouldn't kill them, it would kill everybody on the planet. At least our bodies couldn't handle it. Some kind of pathogen or something like that. That would be the way to do it. And they could still preserve the planet for themselves, right? Chinese are contacted, all gov are. Well, that's what I'm saying. I think they're all in it together, and they have this, United Space Agency thing kind of going on. And like I said, it's for the higher ups. I believe that's the case, really. Geoff Crummy. Hi, Chris. Hope you're well. Doing fine, man. I hope you're doing well as well. Well as well. Um, Brian Norton. People from Mars listening to us and laughing. LOL. They might think Chris is our god. I don't know about all that, but yeah. To me, it's just like, can you imagine if we're listening out in space, if they have the same capabilities at the time, now, even if it was only like 100 years ago, and they can listen to everything that's going on this planet, man, can you imagine that? Just you picture like listening to like how we're getting these large radio bursts right from outer space, and we're getting from different direction. Now, picture them doing the same thing, and they point it towards us, and they hear all these weird broadcasts going on, like TV, radio broadcasts, all kinds of crazy stuff going on. The deep space dish network that NASA has. They're sending signals back and forth. Now, whether you can encrypt these things or not, or decrypt them, and receive and get the full information is immaterial. The thing is, you're still hearing it, and it may be those. And I think those radio bursts that they're getting, they could be like information, like packed, right? In other words, if it's a light, like a laser, how much information can you put in light? A ton. It's nothing like a radio signal. And if you can you imagine them broadcasting going, they're sending a light and just halfway across the galaxy, and there's multiple civilizations receiving at the same time, like absolute terabyte over terabyte, millions of terabytes of information, like just a flash of a light. And how do we know? Just because we say, well, we don't know what they are, doesn't mean they ain't trying to decrypt these things and they're not trying to figure out what they are. Again, if we have light and we send information over a light signal, then maybe they could try to figure a way to decrypt it. And that's what they may be trying to do. It would make sense that to me that would try it anyway, right? Just using liquid fuel for propulsion is freaking insulting. Yeah, exactly. Again, we talked about this before, guys. Again, it's just a public thing. Yes, we're still using the the old fuel rockets, the Atlas V. We're still using this old junk, and people go, "Oh wow, we're going out into space." And I think they've got much better propulsion, whether it be ion drives, fusion, whatever it may be. It doesn't matter. Anti gravity, so on and so forth, which would be the most probably best technology to use. Um, Come on. They're using that behind the scenes, and they're probably traveling all over the solar system and doing whatever the hell they want. Think about it. If you could figure a way to get this thing together and work, okay, and you go to the moon within minutes. Okay, now, oh, wait a minute. If we can do this with ease and we perfected it, I mean, you can go anywhere within hours. Of course, if you go way out, there's a whole different ballgame. I'm talking about just within the solar system. So you can imagine if you can do that. Oh my God, and what you would find going to these moons. You don't have to literally land on the moon, just any of these moons in our solar system. Just go into the atmosphere, take a look around, and then off you go. And here's the thing: you don't even have to send a manned one, an unmanned craft, anti gravitics. Simply send it over there, check everything out, comes back. What kind of fuel is it going to use? How much is it going to use up? It's not really a fuel per se. It's not, well, it is, but it's not the way you would think. So they can go anywhere. And if they perfected it, there you go. Norway's in the house, said Drive By Records Norway. What's going on? Good to have you in there. Daniel Webster, in the 30s, they simulated an invasion and people panicked. That was 80 years ago. I think most people, if not mistaken, they were done a poll, but 65% of people believe that there's life out there. Well, you're talking about probably War of the Worlds. And when they did that, they literally, if you tuned in, this is what's really bizarre. If you were to tune in the middle of the program, that's what you'd hear. Oh my God, they're coming at us. They're shooting it. They're vaporizing people. And it had all kinds of sound effects and it sounded realistic. People were literally jumping on. I think it was not Orson Welles. What was the other one? Was it Orson Welles? Not the other writer. People were literally jumping to their deaths, thinking they were really being actually invaded. And I don't think they anticipated that. They figured, if they went to a commercial or not even that, they simply people just turned it on in the middle of this basically this a show, right? And people listen, oh my God, honey, do you hear that? Oh my God, we're being invaded. And they literally were killing themselves. Are you crazy right now? So yeah, back in the day, it freaked people out. So what would be the percentage of people that would say, oh yeah, I'd be okay with aliens? Very low people, very low percentage. But now we've come so far in that crap. I believe I think a good majority, a good 85% would probably say, oh yeah, we're cool. Yeah. Yeah, not all of any race is bad. Absolutely. Good in everybody, bad in everybody. You're going to find that, right? I think they'll piece it together, Mike. You said, I wonder if the James Webb is really going to be on a rocket. If you guys are not familiar with that, it's a James Webb telescope that will be taking the place, supposed to be taking the place of the other telescope. And to me, it's just like, because this thing's large. I think I showed you guys the link. I gave you guys the link last time. And this thing's huge. I mean, it shows a guy in his, utility bucket and like in a bucket truck type thing. And he's literally facing at least the dish pot of it, right? And then it's almost like a triangular shape type base to it. And I think, once that thing gets out there, they're going to find astronomical stuff. I think it's supposed to replace the Hubble, if I'm not mistaken, right? But I don't know. To me, the thing's aging. It's been out there for years, so it's hard to tell, right? Janine Brogan, good to see you in there. He said, hello, Christopher. Good to see you. This time I see you. I don't know if it's just somehow, if it had like a shorter name or whatever it was. I just totally went over you. And like I told you in the Facebook, my apologies if you thought, I wasn't responding to you. So absolutely, you are there. Hello to you. I hope you're having a good evening, depending on where you're at. What did that one say? Oh yeah, Dan, you said in there, delaying the James Webb, and they're already making the statements that they would never be able to say any planet is positively inhabited without being there because James Webb will find it. Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, you know, they've already found planets that are in the Goldilocks zone, right? So yeah, and if you got it, because Mars and Earth is basically in the Goldilocks zone. They believe that Mars might have been more in the Goldilocks zone, and this is before and I think after the atmospheric problems it has, the catastrophic event it had. So you've got these, you've got, to me, it's just like I don't know, I don't know. What do you guys think about that, right? Because if it's in the Goldilocks zone, chances are there may be life on it. They're not saying there would be absolute life. To me, I just go, well, if it's in the Goldilocks zone, there's a good chance. In other words, it'll probably have water. It'll probably have life. And this is what these are the planets they're going after. And now they've gotten so good at it that they can just send probes there. What's the chance of, if they can send them a lot cheaper, because they're only going to, like, let's say they only send out a probe that's very small and it's just strictly got a camera and a transmitter to transmit, photos back. Well, if it goes by, how about the stuff? Here's the other thing we don't know, or probably haven't talked about. How about the things it might be seeing on the way to their target? So, in other words, let's say they send something out to Pluto. And what about all of the things that are going on in between the planets? How do we know what they're seeing? I'm sure there's a camera on there and it's just going along and it's sending these, like, it'll send like video bites, right? And like it'll take like a 5-second video, send it back. And then you're seeing these weird things that are in the, how do we know what the hell they're seeing in these photos? We have no idea. But I think the James Webb is going to be well, it's not. I think it's going to be a lot more powerful than the Hubble. So um, I'd be curious to see what that thing finds. James, Chris, if they the aliens came to Ireland, we will kill them in 20 pints of Guinness. No problem, man. I hear you. That's too funny. Pretty much 100% Irish here, man. Well, Irish and we like to fight. Well, Norwegian flavor you put on there. What about remote viewing? Well, I mean, there have been people that have done remote viewing, and the one fact is one that's popular about Mars, where they did give him a card, and I think I said last time they didn't tell him it was Mars, but they did say it was Mars. But they gave him some coordinates, and they started from there. And they basically asked him, "Okay, go here. And then we want you to regress. We want you to go here." So different times, and then different areas, same time. And what they did was they found was, the people are like, well, there's these creatures, and talked about these large structures that had no ceilings at one time, or um, just all kinds of crazy things. And they said, do you see these Martians? Yes, we do. All right, what are they saying? What are they doing? Well, it looks like they're waiting on something. And then of course they said, well, talk to them, see if you can get some information off one of them. And they do, and they actually say, um, that they send out a bunch of people, like a crew, to find another planet to live, because their planet is dying, meaning Mars. And it's kind of weird how they come out with that, because you see this catastrophic event, or whatever's left on Mars, and this remote viewer saying this, that these beings were trying to get off the planet, and they did find a planet. It was kind of weird and hostile, but not too bad in a way. And they said that they can go there. So yeah, um, pretty crazy. Ralph McCulley, you said Jimmy Roberts thinks it was a nuclear war that destroyed Mars. I really think it was a few asteroids. You might be right over the course of time, Ralph. You might very well be right. I also believe it was nuclear fallout, because uh, the astronomer and physicist, when he looked through a telescope in 1941, he seen two large explosions in the atmosphere of Mars. Now, so now Dr. John Brandenburg has talked about this. You can look him up. They found all kinds of radiation on the planet in those two areas. So, and this was in 1941, and that's what made me think. Okay, now we put the pieces together. Is it possible that's what happened then? Because people have asked me, "Oh, come on, man! This, they'll either throw comments or say, Chris, how the hell could anything still be on that surface of that planet if it was millions of years ago?" It makes absolute sense. It's a great question. Well, did it happen millions of years ago? Because, things will be weather beaten, so on and so forth. It'll be like buried, or it could be getting unburied. Who knows, right? But either way, I mean, when you think about it, it's like, I don't think it was quite that long ago. And what would happen if it was, in fact, what happened in 1941? And they either blew themselves up through war, or they were warring with some other civilization. Who knows? Pure speculation. But when you think about it, 1941, do the math, we're in, going to be in 2020. You're talking about 7,500 years, whatever it might have been. If you go to like any place that had a nuclear accident here on Earth, you wait 75 or 100 years, it's safe for you to walk around. I don't know if I'd live there permanently, but you could walk around safely, and you wouldn't be exposed to too much radiation. So is it that point where that civilization stopped? I don't know. Kind of like I said, put the pieces together. Yeah, I did hear about that. Okay. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right, but did you hear that NASA wants to come back for 2 years to Pluto? Yeah, I heard that too. And they also want to actually, what was his name? I don't know if it's the CEO or whoever it is, the president or whatever he is now, but he wants to actually say that Pluto is now a planet again. And because, there's certain criteria to make a planet. And he says, well, I think it meets the criteria. I want it to be called a planet again. So here we go again, right? Oh, it's a planet. No, it's not. It's a rock. Oh, it's a planet. No, it's a body. No, it's a planet. It's like, Jesus Christ. People, just call it a friggin' body, or call it a planet and be done with it. Philip, you put on there, Chris, would color make a difference in how you are looking at the pictures? Is black and white better? I believe that it is, Phil, because now I've said this earlier, because when you have a color photo, especially the way they manipulate things, sometimes there's denser colors. You can see where they've actually manipulated. And this is the reason why, let's say you see a mountain, right? Half of it will be like this bluish purple. Some of it will be pinkish. It's like, where do all these different colors come from? It should be like, if you see a mountain or a butte or whatever it may be, it should be pretty much the same color, right? If it's tan or brownish or like a dark soil, like a brown, then you would think it would be consistently all that color, unless you got different color rocks. Then that makes sense. But other than that, you should not see that. You know what that is? That's manipulation. That's overlaid on top of the actual photo. So what I do is, instead of having an object that may be laying on the ground and it's pinkish here and blue here, take the color right off. So now you can see the whole object as a whole, and the colors are not fooling the eyes. But sometimes I'll do a video where it shows the colors. I'll take the saturation out of the color to just bring it down, and then I'll show black and white. So you can get a different perspective of what's going on. And you may see it clearly one way, or you may not. You may like the color better and see things better. I don't know. But that's the reason why I try to do both, right? Susan Ann, good to see you. And it's a good Sunday morning, beautiful people. Howdy there, Chris, mate. What's going on? Good to see you in there. See, doesn't it feel good? You're not actually on Monday morning. That's awesome. So you can actually do that. Josh D, I hear what you're saying. I'm more worried about humans than aliens. Got to kind of agree with you on that. I mean, we pretty much trashed this planet already. And a lot of people don't see this stuff, but you look at third world countries where they literally take all these old computers, these old junky things, the CRT monitors and all this junk, and they literally throw them into these other countries and say, oh, they're reusables. That's how they sell it to, that's how they justify. They dump them into these, these other third world countries, and you see these poor kids scavenging the copper out of them, and they'll get a whole bunch of it, work all day, and get this little bowl of rice. That's all I get out of it. But it's sad what we're doing to this planet. It really is. They go, hey, as long as it's not in my backyard, I don't care where it goes, right? Yep, Brandenburg. You put on there, Mike, and you said weapon signature. Nice one, Chris. Yeah, I mean, it. There's radioactive isotopes on there. There's Xeon 129, all the stuff that's basically like a fallout of nuclear, right? So if that's the case, and I think that may be the reason, that may be the time that it actually exploded. And here's the wild part, and this is pure speculation. I've said that. What if we did that? I want you to understand. Picture these if they were again more pure speculation. But let's say the occupants are that big. What threat are they to us? Think about that a minute. Easily just boom, a couple bombs off in the atmosphere, so they don't have to worry about killing off or at least destroying the planet, but just enough to be radiation to kill off anything that's alive on the planet. So now I'm not saying that's what happened, but that would be super sad if it was. If that's what happened, or they killed themselves off, or they had another war with another alien civilization. But if that was the case, wouldn't they have come to Earth too? Or they just thought, the other civilization thought, these guys could be stomped out like ants, but that other planet over there, maybe we shouldn't screw with them. Yeah, I'm not so sure. I don't think that was the case either. They killed themselves off, which happens. And I forgot who it was that wrote that, said that once a civilization gets so large, it literally implodes on itself. Now, whether it's through warring, eating up all of the resources, which can lead to warring because, well, wait a minute, you got more of the resources than I have in my country, so therefore I'm going to take yours. Oh, no, you're not. And next, boom, 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 there's your wars, right? Who knows? It's hard to tell, but whatever it was in Quantum Discovery Network, you said the same thing, 1941. Do the math. How many years ago? That nuclear fallout or that radiation would have been into the ground, would have died off, at least dissipated pretty much all the way. And it gives them the chance to actually walk on the planet now. I don't know. Who's having Cosmo? Is that what you having? General Tso's chicken? Oh, come on, man. You're making me hungry now. My stomach's growling and everything. Now you got to start talking about food? Yeah, Mike, absolutely. The ancient Anunnaki, rather, used nuclear weapons here in ancient times. Sodom and Gomorrah weapon signature. Yeah, and you see how like you got the a lot of the sands turned to glass, stuff like that, and that's they say well that was probably some sort of nuclear reaction turned sand into basically into glass. You basically that's how glass is made. It's basically dirt. Just superheat it and everything else, and next thing you know, you got glass. So, and I forgot exactly what they call that. There's a term that they use for that. Hey, Noodles, what's going on? Good to see you in there. He said, hey, hey. Oh, yeah. Mosquito, you wrote in there. I remember commenting on the Joe Rogan podcast about a wide variety of things. When I commented, they edited and oh, when you said you commented about they edited and reshot moon photos tied to actual artificial structures, I get a negative response. Well, yeah, because a lot of them are not really there for that particular thing. But you notice he's been doing a lot more. Like he had that naval gentleman on there that was talking about the Tic Tac UFOs and so on and so forth. He's getting a lot more of that down there. And even he agrees that, a lot of these moon photos, he agrees that we've been there, but he's also thinking the same thing. So a lot of people really not on board with it. You would think there would be a lot more now. Now, a lot of people are on board with, like I said, where they say, yeah, I believe there's other life out there, but they're not willing to believe that, stuff is being hidden on the moon. Well, wait a minute. How can you be like that close-minded? How can you go from, yeah, I believe there's life out there too? Nah, it's not on the moon though. What do you mean? How do you know that? They just automatically just shut that part of the conversation down. It's like, no, you can't do that. You got to be a little bit more open-minded. I'm not saying you go off the deep end. I'm just saying, but you got to be open-minded to the fact that it could very well be, right? Definitely life out there. Stephen Hobbs, you put in there, Valles Marineris, rather, was done with either some high neutron weapon or a gamma ray weapon that discharged on the rock of Mars and fanned out. Well, that's with the what was that other that theory that the Thunderbolts project comes out with. Now, I'm not so sure that's the truth because it's like I've said, just because you could simulate it doesn't mean that's the actual cause, right? Now, I'm not saying it's not. It could very well have been, but you know, like I said, I can simulate it. It doesn't mean that's what happened, but that's the best theory. Or at least that's what they're shooting for. At least what they believe that's what happened, right? Um, he said it would not have been made by nukes. It's like when you wet wood and put high voltage current on it, it burns like a river on the wood. Well, that's true because it's going to find the actual path, right? Now, Valles Marineris, I don't know. Now, some people speculate that at one point, maybe another body, like another planet, scraped against it, and that could have been the reason. Who knows, right? It could have been like a lot like our, you know, uh, the erosions we get here. They think maybe it might have been water, but I don't think that was water done. I don't think that's what caused that. What it is, it's hard to tell. Oh, okay, Eagle One. You said it's called Trinitite. There was another name for it too, though. It was like melted sand, but there's something else it was called too. Oh, really, Mike? I didn't know that. He said, guys, send positive vibes to secure team. Tyler, he had two more family deaths, members die in 3 weeks. He's flipped. Well, that's kind of weird because I mean, every time you turn around, this guy's got a death in the family somehow. Now, I'm not saying that can't be true, right? But I mean, depending on who it is, I mean, yeah, you're gonna be like, gonna be all broken up about it. I can understand that. That's why I said, man, give the guy some slack. These guys have no idea what's going on with his life. Again, he should be a little bit more forthcoming about, hey guys, I'm gonna have to take some time off. I think everybody will understand that. They'll be disappointed, but they'll understand, right? But yeah, I mean, if something happened to his family, I hate to see that. I hate to hear stuff like that. And he needs time off. Take some time off. You know, this is, I mean, it's basically his life, right? It's just bread and butter, but that doesn't mean, I'm sure he's got money in the bank, so to speak, right? So I think he'd be all right. But yeah, you hate to hear that kind of thing. Yeah, he's been through quite a bit. I know that. Mosquito you put on there, Tyler's a real soldier. I know he's been through a lot because I mean, from what I heard, and I've heard him talk a couple times in his videos, and yeah, he's had 4 deaths. Yeah, I was just gonna say the same thing. Yeah, I mean, it's never easy for anybody. Come on, to me, this is, and all you guys would agree, right? What's first? Family first, right? Everything else second. That's all there is to it. That's exactly the way I'd feel. I mean, obviously, if I had a death in the family, something like that, I'd just say, guys, I just got to be away, because of what's going on, blah 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 blah. I need some time off. I'll get back with you guys, and just give you guys a heads up, kind of thing. But it's never easy. Come on. Yeah, Julia, I've heard that too. A lot of deaths that happen in threes and stuff like that. Well, Brian, it's true. I mean, he said weird thing is his channel is his income now. Well, I don't think he's ever really worked per se. I mean, I think he's always been doing this. At least I think so. And even if he did, it's immaterial because he's been doing this now for X amount of years. So it's basically his sole income. And there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, he does a great job in his videos, and that's pretty much it. So whether he's finding his own material or not is immaterial. He still has a great channel. He still does a good job with it. Yeah, Stephen Hobbs. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, give the guy a break if it's true. Now, a lot of people say, "Oh, come on! Every time you turn around, there's a death in the family." Well, if these people are up there in age, and I'm not so sure, I don't know, but if they're up there in age and this starts happening, I mean, it is what it is. I mean, that's why I tell people, "Come on, back off." I see, man, some of these people are brutal. It's like, oh yeah, custom tailored one. You said, yeah, that's right, Chris. Family first, absolutely. I don't think anybody here would say differently. I mean, well, that's true, MG. Yeah, that's true. Said he's been accused of a lot of things, and listen here and there. But if this stuff is actually real, then yeah, then the other stuff you just go, "Oh, okay, well he's been accused of this, that, and the other. Then it is what it is, and a lot of people called him out on it if you think about it. But as far as death in the family, if that's the true thing, then yeah, I don't mock stuff like that. I have seen that MC Gamer. You said, has anyone seen the Project 8879 USB stick found in Germany on a parking lot? The video looks fake, but the images not so much. Well, and that's what. Well, they kind of showed like a sample of a thumb drive, right? I don't think it's the real one because they all I got was the videos off of it. Um, I found that interesting. I'm not so sure what to believe because a lot of stuff today could be faked so badly. It's hard to tell, but um, I have seen it. Yeah. Yeah, if you get the link to it, go ahead and drop the link. Yeah, a couple of you guys are asking about it. Yeah, Ralph, I do. I actually have a moon video coming up. Like I said, I was trying to get it out today, but I end up instead of working till about 11, 12 o'clock today, I ended up getting out like 3:40. I got home and I was just trying to. So I fired everything up to get everything ready, and you know, um, so I was just and I was like, oh, so I couldn't get the video out. I'm going to try to get it either done tonight, which probably won't be tonight now because it's what 7:30, and I'm sorry 7:13, and I still have to eat. You guys are making me hungry. So yeah, I'm going to try to either get it out tomorrow or, probably Monday evening. Well, I shouldn't say Monday evening, probably Monday afternoon. I'll get that out for you guys because my day off tomorrow, I still got a ton of shit to do. Isn't that ironic? It's like, well, 7 days a week working. Yeah, Philip. Yeah, absolutely. Wait for him. He said, I'm still going to wait for him. Yeah, I mean, this is the funny part. It doesn't cost anything to be subscribed to anybody. Think about this a minute. Now, I understand some people get angry because they're like, well, I'm donating to this guy. And then they do like, uh, what is that one thing you can do? You can like constantly give money to somebody every week, and whether it's off your credit card or month or whatever it is, you know. Um, and so I understand that, but it's like, but cut the guy some slack, knock it off. It takes nothing. If I'm subscribed to a channel, whether the guy's there or not, I'm still subscribed to him. It's not hurting me any. Um, if they feel that strongly about it, then they should, don't donate to him until he comes back. I mean, it's not really terrible. You know what I mean? Yeah, there it is. I thought it was vitification or something like that. Visification, yeah. Um, yeah, exactly. There you go, Mike. That's what I was looking. 2,300 Kelvin turns sand to glass, and that's what I'm saying. And I used to kid around with a friend of mine and say, "Hey, do me a favor, put some hole in that sand." And he's like, "What the hell are you talking about?" Open the window. Oh, put the window down. Vitrification. Yeah, that's the word I was looking for. Vitrification noodles. Thank you. I knew it was something similar to I'm saying, nah, it's not quite it, but um, Mike, man, you're part of it too, man. Don't give yourself a pat on the back too. You said, "Oh, you guys here are brilliant. I'm truly blessed to be here among you." You know what? It's like kind of sitting at a round table, right? It's just huge table. Everybody's just sitting there and just throwing ideas around, talking about different topics, and that's what makes this doing this awesome. I love this. You know, it's a perfect way to end. Well, it's not ending the weekend now because we're on Saturdays, but that's fine. It helps a lot of you guys out. You're able to come here and you can stay here for the if you want. You're doing other things while you're listening in, or just contributing. Actually, just putting your own comments, whatever it may be. Yeah, so pretty cool. You must be in the Eastern time zone there, Ralph. Okay, let me go back down. Michael Stark, that's a great question. I really don't have a really number one answer to that. You said, Chris, which crater on the moon fascinates you the most? Most structures or anomalies? Um, I really don't have. I'll tell you why I don't really have a favorite one because a lot of the stuff I've seen in these photos are not in craters. They're just everything that's in between craters more than anything. I see a lot of stuff. Um, that's laid out in between them. Now there are some things like Taff will tell you, like Crook's crater. He's probably the number one person on that. In fact, he could probably drop his link here, and you guys can follow his work. He does a lot of good enhancements, does a lot of good work on that stuff. So Taff, if you want to drop a link, because I don't have it at the moment, but awesome stuff. Like Crook's crater, that's pretty cool stuff right there. But there's so much more, man, on the surface. And I love it when they look down because the Apollo missions are looking down. And when you enhance these things and bring them down or all these brighted areas, like I'm going to do in this next video, I'm going to show you guys. It's not going to be a super long video, but what you're seeing there is you're just going, what? That doesn't even make any sense. Just another way they're hiding this stuff. And they've all been doing this for I don't know how long, but you really can't make out a super lot of detail. But when you see the shapes of these things and some of the stuff, I bring out the best I can. Yeah, pretty cool stuff. Yeah, Tav. Yeah, despite all the crap people have said about him, Tyler has balls. Well, I mean, he keeps going on, and again, people say, "Well, it's because he's money hungry. That's why he keeps coming back." Well, no, but it's his income. So it's like saying, "I can't believe this guy keeps coming back to work. He must be money hungry." No, I need to pay my bills, man. I mean, that's what it comes down to. I don't care if it's $100 a month or $10,000 a month. What difference does it make? Does it really matter? We're all there, got to make that money. Money makes the world go round. You know. I can vouch for that. Work 6 days a week. Sucks ass. But it is what it is. Pays the bills. I don't mind it. I'm a workaholic, so it doesn't bother me. Yeah, Daniel, he said he brings other people's material, but he makes good videos. That's all that matters. And here's the thing: you're right. I mean, a lot of people dogged him for that. Oh, you're not doing your own work. You're doing other people's. Well, what difference does it really make? Because he's still putting it together for you. Still doing commentary. And it's still, you're still watching something. It's like entertainment for you. So why does it matter? I mean, but people will pick on anything. That's just the way they are. I've noticed that over the course of years, man. It's just you get beat up in different ways, and I go, who cares? You know what I mean? Whatever. Yeah, no, the Scottish castles have been heat fused, vitrified in a distant past. No explanation to date of how. Well, there you go. There's a lot of areas, ancient civilizations that had the same thing, right? Dan, you said I lost my wife this year, and it's a pain like I've never experienced. I would never mock someone that had deaths. Well, my condolences to you, Daniel. And I've often, if you truly love your spouse, here's the thing. This is what's a lot of people understand it. A family member is one thing, right? And because obviously they're mom, dad, whatever family, and of course you'll be upset when you live with somebody. Because obviously you moved away from your family, and if you're with somebody, whether your spouse, husband or wife, whatever, it doesn't matter. And just the idea that you go, man, if they ever died of me, how would it feel? You're close if you start bringing tears to your eyes because that's the last thing you ever want to see happen. So, yeah, I never mock something like that. But yeah, my condolences there, Daniel. That sucks. You know, we're here one day, going the next. That's why you just try to get along with everybody, try to do your thing, you know, be positive if you can. Not always, but you try. Noodles, yeah, a vast square area on the lunar surface has very few craters, as though it was cleared in the distant past. Yeah, but keep something in mind too. I've done an area where I showed what looked like all them structures um, on the moon, and that's what's crazy. Is it cleared? or is it manipulated to look like it's cleared? But probably originally it was. In other words, the structure's built there, so therefore they cleared it. But when you see a lot of these photos, you can see where they've manipulated over that whole area to block what's really in the photo. Because I've actually found stuff that's literally hiding right in the middle of those areas that look completely flat. Yeah, pretty cool. Max K, you said, sorry, Chris, if disclosure came about, do you think we could handle it? I could. I mean, it has to be an individual, right? Because I think they'd have to ask the right question. Like, if again, I guess it depends on the information being, put forth. So if they come out and they said, okay, we just figured out, guys, we thought there might be life on there, but we were holding out. We were trying to find out. But curiosity came up on this huge hill, and as soon as it looked down, it seen an alien civilization there. There's nobody living there, but there's structures. How would people react to it? I think people would have different reaction to it. I would be like, "Oh my god, that's absolutely awesome. That's cool." And of course, you'd have a million questions. Again, who made it? How long ago? Are they still on the planet? Do they have technology like us? I mean, just the list goes on and on and on. What happened to them? So on and so forth. That would be the questions you'd be asking. So I wouldn't be freaked out. I think that's awesome, and I think we already know that. I mean, but to them just to make it like solid, like yeah, it is absolutely. We found this out. Then it confirms it all, and then we just go, yeah, you know. To me, I just think that would be cool to hear. I would be able to handle it. What about you guys? Eagle One, yeah, says it shows why the astronauts look scared to speak about what they saw. And I believe that wholeheartedly. I mean, I think they're just like I said. You don't go from hey, yeah, okay, we're leaving. Oh yeah, this is great. Come back to oh, these guys are just standing going, oh my god, man, kill me now. I mean, you could just see the look on their face, like they didn't even want to be in this place. They're like, can anybody hang me now and get it over with? I mean, they just didn't want to be there, right? And I just, yeah, I just find it really odd that you know they go from, like I said, waving to the public, we're having a great time, we're off and running, and when it came back, they just didn't want to be there. Period. Again, the biggest step known to mankind, leaving Earth, stepping foot on the nearest celestial body to Earth. This is our moon, and yet they come back totally like I said, they lost their parents in a car wreck. How does this happen? You think to be like, so what was it like up there? Oh, it was fantastic, man. We were up there and we just couldn't believe we were at all. Look at the mountains, the hills, the soil. We were picking it up. None of that. And then when they asked, "Did you see guys didn't see any stars?" And they're looking at each other like, "I don't know. Then you guys see anything?" I mean, no, we were too busy just looking at the soil to see it. They were totally like just blah. Like, wow. Renee, food just arrived at the table. Gonna go pig out. Have fun with that. Try not to eat too much, man. Want to see you back next week. Oh yeah, noodles. Yeah, I've seen that. John Ward channel found a cylinder with a star on the top of it in the Mars high rise images. Absolutely. He does great work himself. I encourage everybody to go to his channel and check him out. Got a lot of good work. John Ward. Um, I've turned you guys on a lot of you guys onto his channel. He does really good work. Check him out. Subscribe to him. Yeah, mosquito. Yeah, he said Neil saw a spacecraft monitoring them. Yeah, I mean, like I said, he's looking at it. They're right there on the crater wall, right on the rim, and they're watching us. Yeah, absolutely. William Johnson, you said I would be. It would be my ultimate hallelujah to know that was a civilization on Mars. I agree with you. I don't think anybody here would be freaked out. Of course, you guys are all on board with the same idea as us anyway, or me and everybody else. It'd be like, yeah, that's awesome. Are you kidding me? Tell me more. I want to know more. Mags, you said, yeah, Chris, they were so uncomfortable. Didn't know what to do, what to say, rather, like traumatized. Can you, like I said, I can't even imagine, even if you were, they had like this talk before they went, okay, guys, this is what you're going to find, right? We have photos of these, what look like these structures, so on and so forth. Oh, we're going to have you guys go check this stuff out. You still cannot understand the magnitude of that once you get there. Now, just imagine the craft landing there and you're starting to see these things all around you and you land there and then you get out and you look at it. You know it's not yours. I don't know if I was you guys, but I would be like walking around and say, like, something going to just come out of one of these things and just like attack us? Or, wow, just that or like, this is not ours. Who the hell built this? And to just touch it and just say, wow, this came from somewhere else. That just mind-boggling how, these guys must have saw stuff that just totally freaked them out. And like I said, Buzz went into hiding for like a long time. He didn't want to be bothered with anybody. And look at him today. He looked like he'd lost his couple marbles. I mean, when you see him like when he first went, the guy was like boom on the money. Total sane guy. Now it's like he just like he had to go see a shrink or something. I don't know. But you can understand if he did because of what they probably saw. How do you get your mind wrapped around something like that? How do you do that? Dan, you said absolutely I can handle it. Already believes anyway, some of that stuff I know is not natural, so therefore someone had to have built it. Absolutely. James, you said Chris showed your last video to my shift. That's 18 men and there was silence when they started seeing what was clearly visible. It was unreal. Honestly, new subscribers coming at you. Well, I mean, I've done that where I've showed photos of, you know, I showed, like I said, I showed people, I go, what do you think of that? And they go, what the hell is that? So what do you think that is? I don't know. It's some kind of, whatever they call it. They'll say, looks like some kind of mechanical piece of trash laying on the ground. Where'd you get that? And a lot of times I'll put them in black and white. I don't want them to be color. I don't want them to see this orangey color because they're going to say, clearly, what the hell kind of photo is that? I want them to see black and white. Say, yeah, I'll just tell them, I kind of tell them, yeah, it's in black and white. I just want you to check it out. What do you guys think of that? Well, it looks like some kind of mechanical bent something or other on the ground. Where did you get that photo from? Oh, it's on Mars. They look at me like I got three heads. Like, what? Yeah, come on. And they just can't believe it. They're totally dumbfounded. Yes, mosquito. That's what he said. These babies are huge. And did you remember them saying that it's almost like they said they're underneath us? That's what was really bizarre. So they know they're going into the ground. They probably see them going in, coming out, and whatever. So yeah, I don't know, Julie. I mean, yeah, stated that. I'm not sure that's true, though. I mean, you said Gray has made a point that you can summon them, and that may be telepathically. I'm not sure, but I don't know. That is kind of wild. Some people have said that before that you can do that. Now, whether you can, I've never seen anybody do it. So I'm not saying it's not true, but I'm not saying it's true either. Mags, you said love Jean subbed. He's awesome. Yeah, he is. He does good work, man. I love the idea because he does a lot of these satellite, and he does give you scale on those satellites because the satellite views actually a lot of those come with scaling anyway. So, which is good, whether it's meters, whatever they do it in, and which I like about that. You know what I mean? I think that's cool. Melted rock stairs and glass found in the sand is believed to come from the solar storm possible during the polar shift and when the Earth was most vulnerable. Well, that's true, but keep in mind if you look at the Indian Sanskrit and stuff like that, the Mahabharata, where they wrote about how like there's flying cities in the sky and they had weapons as bright or brighter than the sun. What were they talking about back then? Was it just sci-fi writers way back in the day? What do you guys think? To me, that's just for them to even come out with that. Back then, it's not like they were watching TV and decided to, I'm going to make some kind of, you know, paper about it and just write about it. No, they had to have seen something that made them want to really, that they found it important enough to write about or write it in stone. So yeah, Indrid Cold, appreciate your support. Thank you very much. With sincere thanks for everyone, oh, everything, I'm sorry, everything you do. Wish it were much more, buddy. Listen, the fact that you guys are here is awesome. You know what I mean? And when you go the extra mile, so to speak, and you do the what you can, it's greatly appreciated. And I love the support. You guys are awesome. So no, don't worry about that. Trevor, there was some people have speculated about that. He said, Chris, have you ever been able to determine how tall trees would grow in Martian gravity? Well, again, they automatically assume that things would grow tall, like even humans. If you were born and raised on Mars, because there's not as much gravity bringing you down, that you would grow taller and spindly. Because think about it, if it's like some kids, like when they're younger, right? Let's say they're 12 years old and they maybe they're slightly heavy because, they haven't really gone through their growth spurts. Suddenly they grow like there's no tomorrow, like maybe 2 inches per year. All of a sudden they like, they thin right out. Well, now picture not having as much gravity. Well, that's what they think. Now, would trees do the same? I don't know. And it could very well be less pull on, less pull, right? So there you go. Could very well be a lot taller. No, don't mind me, guys. I'm just watching you guys going back and forth as well. Dan, you said I heard they silenced the astronauts by threatening their pension, and some people say they were even threatening their families. Well, think about it, because back then, I mean, it's the biggest secret known to man as well, right? So if people to let the cat out of the bag, that's not a good thing, man. It's not a good idea at all. So what do? They say, listen, this is what we'll do for you guys. I'll tell you what, we'll make a deal with you. Oh, really? What's that? You guys don't ever speak of any of this, so we won't have to murder you. How's that sound? I'm like, what? I mean, and of course you sign this, and what happens is if you break this agreement, we just lock you. What we'll do is we'll lock you up and throw the room out. So, you just don't screw around. And who knows? Maybe they were threatened like that. They just said, well, if you should say anything, maybe your family, part of your family, would disappear by some unfortunate accident. Oh, okay, we won't say nothing. So, and of course, these guys were picked because these guys weren't boneheads, right? These guys were military. A lot of them flew airplanes. These astronauts weren't just, people working at McDonald's. These guys were like top, well, not top brass, but they were pretty good in what they did. Like I said, they flew crafts, aircrafts, so on and so forth. They're in the military, most of them. So, yeah. Yes. Pete Ferrero, you put on there, they wrote what they saw in that age. Well, again, it had to have been something that like so profound to them that they felt the need to either etch it in stone, put it in Sanskrit, whatever it might have been. They wrote about it because it's something that intrigued them or just blew their minds out, right? Yeah, custom tailor one you put on there. Those trees look pretty tall. Well, I mean, they were full though. I mean, you can see like they was widespread. If that's what they are, if they are in fact trees, you can see that they were spread out like forest. Pretty large area. Although again, they claimed the whole area from you know left to right was only like 12 tenths of a mile. Thinking, uh, unless of course, again, the civilization is very small. Then there could be quite a bit in that one little area, right? I don't know, but I never really believed all of their scaling to begin with. I'm not saying none of it's accurate. I'm just saying I don't believe a lot of it because they could literally say, I mean, for all we know, that could be 10 miles across. How do we know? Unless we had firsthand look at it and, we were like doing the calculations, and you could say yay or nay, right? Gary, you said thank you. Thank for all you do, Chris. Well, appreciate that, Gary. Appreciate you being here. Mike, yeah, there was no fiction back then, no sci-fi, just survival. Yeah, and like I said, I mean, again, if we were back in the day where you had just like little straw huts or whatever, and something was to come out of the sky and land next to you, right off the bat, you would consider them gods, right? Because it's something you can't do. You don't have the gift of flight. So you see something like that, other than a bird come out of the sky, what would you think? First of all, I'm going to write about it any way I can. So they're either going to draw in a rock, they're going to etch in stone. This is what we saw. There was, these wars in the sky, these great cities, and so on and so forth. Just to read that must have blew these people's minds when they first deciphered that. Going, what the hell? I mean, think about it. Exactly, mosquito. Yeah, you put on there. They have Roswell eyewitnesses admitted that they were threatened. Oh yeah. Well, Trevor, yeah. I mean, you said thing is because we have no perspective as to scale. When you see some of the stuff, including parent trees, they got to be huge. Well, at least that would be your thought, right? So, but it's like I said, I got people coming on the channel bashing it. You guys don't know what the hell you're talking about. You guys must be all high and all this other shit. But what the funny thing about it is, like I said, if I was to say, oh, by the way, they found this ruined civilization in Central America. They just uncovered it. I wouldn't think nothing of it. They would have been, oh, wow, that's cool. Never would have thought of it. Well, wait a minute, it's Mars. Nah, that's fake. It's bullshit. And that's the first thing they come out with. And it's like, well, wait a minute. You can't do that. You don't have the right to do that. They'll come out with, just most bizarre stuff. And it's like, so on Earth, you would consider it a ruined civilization or a civilization, like structures left over. But because it's on Mars, no, I can't do that. I can't accept that. So, leave some kind of weird comment. That doesn't make any sense. But people do that. Ralph, you said they were engineers. Prometheus, the engineers. And like I said, a lot of the Egyptians said, we built the pyramids with the help of the overseers, our gods. What were they talking about? Mosquito, you said, what about the giant tic tac supposedly found on the dark side of the moon? They've been finding some crazy things there. And I think, if you were to, let's say you were alien civilization or alien, some sort, and you wanted to build something on a planet, a moon, whatever it was. And if it was tidal locked, where would you build your structures mostly? The other side of the moon. Makes sense. Nobody's going to see you. You can literally come and go from the backside of the moon. Nobody'd ever see you. Makes sense. Now, I'm not saying that you wouldn't see them in the front, because if there are actually things going in and out of the moon, they don't expect the average person to be able to look up and go, oh, wow, look at that. Now, obviously, people with telescopes can see that, right? But very rarely will you see that at all. What I see is I see structures, and we get to see them up close because of the LRO, and we can actually see these things. Well, of course, a lot of them have been manipulated out of the photo or blurred over or whatever, but you get to see a lot of these things on this moon stuff. William Johnson, yeah, thanks, Chris. Thumbs up. You're tops, man. All right, hit it one more time, guys. Hammer time. Thumbs up. We're going to be getting on out of here. I heard supper is ready. And we've been on, man, it's been 2 hours and 43 minutes. This is awesome, man. You don't even realize the time goes by. You're just sitting there just rag chewing and just having a good old time. You don't even realize the time's even going by. It's awesome. It is, Mags. Yeah, you said Chris's youth are still ongoing. Yeah, they are. They're just kind of doing their own thing. But they do get mentioned every now and then. Especially my buddy Billy Carson. He'll do that. Like if he's out, he'll mention it, the UFO hunters and stuff like that, the UFO family. And yeah, I mean, they're basically, it's not like they're doing videos together, but we've done that in the past but now they're kind of like just doing their own thing and the stuff to light. So yeah, it still as a whole, they're still doing it. James Gregg, Chris, there's hundreds of comments again, and you have answered hundreds of the top of the range, Chris. Great hangout again. Saturday night seems to be good. Well, yeah, I mean, like I said, I just think it works for everybody. And maybe not everybody likes it because probably I'm so used to having the Sunday, doing that. But to me, it's just like if you don't have to go, oh my God, I got to get up in the morning, got to go to work. You don't have to worry about it. It's nice, and then you get the Sunday to do what you want and go to bed the time you want. So it works out perfect. And like I said, it works out for me because it's a win-win for everybody because like I said, I work 6 days a week, so the Sunday off, it's a blessing, right? But like I said, I really don't have the Sunday off because I still got to do things. But still, I can go to better pace. Ab0303, Chris. Cheers, Chris. Awesome chat as usual. Well, like I said, what makes it awesome is you guys are being here. And that's just not ass kissing. That's basically the truth. Because like I said, we cover so much these hangouts that it's just awesome. And like I said, I try to bring you guys some space news. It's topics to talk about and just cool stuff I've already heard or have seen. And a lot of times we touch on what's going on Mars because of the years I've been doing this long before the videos and just finding out all the stuff and putting it together. So now again, got the spike, 30% spike in oxygen, on Mars. It's just crazy. Again, another piece, just a piece of the puzzle, man. Just put it in there. That's what it comes down to. Yep, Digger, same time next week, no doubt. Noodles, yes, Alien Hunter chat and lunar images in 20 minutes. Oh, is he doing a chat? Noodles? Because I know he asked me about that. He said, how to go about it a little bit. I said, man, just be yourself. Just do your video. Just do the hangout. Is he actually doing one, a live one? Yeah, Taff. You said it's strange how NASA has decided to turn the sky blue on Mars. Would think they would know the real color. Well, they do. And like I said, when they had the I wanted to say Pathfinder. It's not 1970, 1997 rather. The Mars Insight, when they just landed that again, when they first landed that spacecraft, they literally had it on the monitor and it was a blue sky. And it wasn't a minute later. They showed it again. It was all orange. It just completely went orange. So I can almost imagine they've got one of those filters, those red filters on the camera, like they do on the Curiosity rover. Think about it. How do you have, and they even said you can hear people talking in the background. They're like, oh, wow, the sky's blue. Imagine that. And these are people that work for NASA. Imagine that. Pretty funky. Yeah, I think he's just a little nervous, Noodles. He says, well, I'm not sure if I want to. Then what he should do is just try it out just for the heck of it. Say, hey guys, just want to say hello. What do you think about doing a live stream? And and get the people's reaction. I don't think he'd have any problem with it. I don't care if he speaks broken English or whatever. It doesn't really matter. He does good work. I like what Alien Hunter does. He does really good work, and I think everybody would be on board with his chat. I mean, I think everybody would love it. Because if I knew he was doing it, I'd send everybody over there because, like I said, he does phenomenal work there as well. In fact, you can still jump on over there. He's going to have, he always has good stuff. Alien Hunter, just look him up. Mike, you said, man, I was so stoked, Chris, to find that metal mechanical claw in that crater. Made me super happy. Yeah, just weird. Whether it almost had that claw apparent, right? But it was actually looked like it's either broken apart or something like that. And it's just really weird, man. I thought it was pretty cool at the same time. It's just like, what the hell is that? I don't know if it was like a structure going off in different directions, like almost like a hand. I don't know, but pretty cool. Norwegian flavor. He said, I'm new. Well, it's good to have you in there, man. Welcome aboard. Which one are you looking for the link for, Norwegian? Alien Hunter, or which one are you looking for the link for? Let me see here. Okay. That premiered 11 hours ago. Oh, it says, huh? Oh, it's premiering now. Okay, I got you. Anyway, you guys can check his channel out. I want to give you guys drop the link and check his stuff out. Sub to him, check his stuff. What he's doing on the moon, and he goes real close to these photos. There you go. There's a link right there, guys. I'd love to see him do it. That'd be cool. But like I said, he kind of asked me about it. What should I do? How should I go about it? Go live, and if you want to do it that way and just start off, that's the way to do it. Howdy, people. Susan says, howdy, howdy. Can't get straight. Can't get right, rather. What the heck was that? Okay. No, it's the way I combined the two names. That was pretty funky. Can't get right. Knows who's going live. It's Alien Hunter. He wants to go live, but I don't think he's totally like, I really want to, but you know what I mean? So I think once he does the first hangout or live feed, I think he'll be fine after that. It'll be like, okay, cool. He'll get a positive reaction to it, and I think he'll be fine. I think he should, to be truthful. Will Martino, you said, Chris, do a new live stream going over a new sol or moon. I thought about doing that. I may do that. I'm not sure yet. Yeah, I think you're right in a sense there, Taff. You said NASA is nothing less than organized crime and a front for another space program they forgot to tell us about. Well, and like I said, I mean, there's NASA that everybody knows, right? It's like the public knows about NASA, and then there's this part of it that nobody knows about. Like, in other words, they're just, again, like this black ops kind of thing that they do these, top secret stuff, and this is the reason why some people believe, the moon landings were fake. They're nothing but trash. I don't believe that at all. Now, I do believe that they might have made these videos to just throw to the public. So because remember, if you remember correctly, I think they were even playing like golf on Mars at one point, weren't they? They're like kind of like, oh, well, look how much fun we're having. This is great. And they were laughing and joking and having a great time. How does that coincide with the way they were when they went to that press conference? How does it go from that to completely sad and in a somber mood? God only knows how that happens, unless those recordings weren't the real deal, meaning they weren't them actually on the moon. It was actually, because some people say it was done in a set, right? Is that possible that they done in a set? Very good possibility. And what they were really doing is something totally different. And the reason why I say they were doing something different is because what we're finding on the moon ourselves in these photos. And a lot of these are on the Apollo mission photos looking down at the lunar surface. So that tells me they were there for much more than just simple rocks. And what we saw them doing was nothing of the sort, at least not the main reason why they were there, right? Limey, thanks for getting in there, man. I appreciate you jumping in there. He said, have a good one, Chris, and all. Eagle One, you said, need more chat channels like yours, but can't beat you. Well, everybody does their own thing. There's some channels that still do live feeds, but I don't think they get along quite as good as we do. Everybody just has a great time. Nobody's like being, like, oh, this guy's an idiot. He thinks this, and everybody just, you're just showing your opinion, right? You're just like, well, no, I think this is going on, and I think this is going on. Have you heard about this? And this is how a chat should go, right? It's not about attacking another channel, not about putting another channel down. It's not about, it's like, come on, you know, grow up, get past all that. And there's a lot of good channels out there that do live feeds. Um, Trying to think of the other one is, and I don't know why I'm drawing a blank here. Let me see. Let me do this. Well, there's a lot of good ones out there. I mean, depending on what you're looking for. I think of P&K Space Imaging. They do phenomenal work on the moon, and they go live a lot of times with their telescopes and stuff like that. Um, so they do a lot of good work themselves, you know. And I like watching. You can just kick back, and they got music playing in the background. Sometimes they're live, meaning they're talking and all. So it's pretty cool. Colleen Van Deel, I guess it is Dale. Just a theory, but I think possibly they were advised to stay off the moon by whomever was already there. That, or I heard that multiple times myself, or they've already found everything they need to find. You know what I mean? Taking photos, maybe took some stuff apart while they were up there, whatever it might have been, and they pretty much gotten everything they need off of it. So this is the reason why people go, well, how come they never went back to the moon? It's a bunch of crap. Well, maybe they found all I need to find out at the time, and they didn't give a crap after that. Think about this a minute. If they were to bring back technology, whether it be photos or physical stuff in their hands brought back, they have enough to keep them busy to reverse engineer and do different things. So maybe they just didn't want to go back. And then everybody's thinking, well, maybe they were warned off, or they actually were warned off. How do we know? Maybe they went in a part of the area. They went, no. We don't want you in this part of the moon. Beat it. So who knows? Tesla's dream, he said, explain the advance in science technology we are learning from off-world sources. Yeah, I mean, and it's leaps and bounds. It's not like, well, we just happen to make the phone a little bit better. We made the car a little bit better. I mean, we're talking about leaps and bounds and just stuff like this crazy stuff, right? So, yeah. Hudson Crafts, you said, I believe there's a huge moon base on the moon. Oh, there's more than one. There's a lot more structures there, too. Yeah, I remember him, Taff. Remember? Bill Bryson? Hey, guys, we're live on the moon. Haven't really heard much from him. We're friends on Facebook, and I just check him out. Yeah, he's actually got some pretty good stuff, too. Bill Bryson. He would go live on the moon with his telescope and found like different colors on the moon. Long before I knew anybody looking at the moon with their telescope, he was doing this. And some crazy stuff. And he had a good-sized telescope himself. So, pretty cool. Oh, yeah, I thought about that, Brian. You said, Chris, you need to do a space background like Jimmy Roberts would be cool. Well, I thought about that, but I don't want to be copying his work either. It's pretty funny the way he does that. And he's got some phenomenal stuff. I don't know if he's actually dropped it yet. You guys know that? I know you said latest video he's got out there, but I'm not sure if he's really bringing some stuff there, guys. He's gotten into, there was a site that shows scale and everything else on a lot of these, and he's learned, he's talked to the actual person who has the site, and apparently there's some discrepancies, I should say, on the way the measurements were on the scaling. So they rectified that problem. So now he's a lot more, he could tell the scaling of a lot of these things. So I don't know if he's done anything yet, but let me see here. See if we can find it here. No, I can't find it now. Okay, 1 day ago. You guys can check out his channel too. Jimmy does really good work here. The real Jimmy Roberts. Check him out too. He's doing good stuff. I'm going to drop this before I take off on you guys. Got to go get something to eat myself here. But check out his channel too. He's doing really good stuff. And he's talking about 3D and how you guys can look at this more in depth when you look at it. And it's basically like kind of like that sailboat in the picture kind of thing, but you can't see it, but like kind of crossing your eyes a little bit to where they come into single focus, and it brings what you see in a lot better perspective. And he shows you just how to do that. So check that out. I think you guys will like a lot of his work. Anyway, guys, I'm going to jump on out of here. Got to get me something to eat. I'm surprised you guys haven't heard my stomach rumbling here. Been since lunch since I've eaten. So yeah, I'm a little famished. But guys, awesome to have everybody here. I'm glad everybody has been able to jump in on this because I was thinking, man, maybe some of these guys will forget that we're actually on. And maybe some of you have, but that's fine. They'll know next time and to get out and jump in there. So I'm glad that everybody could jump in there tonight, and you guys will have a good Sunday tomorrow, right? Cool. So anyway, guys, thanks for joining us. You guys are awesome. Thanks for the support as well as monetary support. You guys are awesome. And just stay being you. That's all that matters. Anyway, guys, have yourselves all a good night and a good week coming up. And like I said, I'm going to try to get that video out probably either tomorrow evening or Sunday afternoon. So look out for that. I'm going to be knocking them out for you. So just stay tuned for that. Anyway, guys, peace. Have yourselves a good one there. Have a good night.